And, we're hopeful that ultimately he receives a substantial sentence for what he's done.
CBS News Special Report. I'm Michael Wallace.
And WSB's top local story is new here at noon. A DeKalb County jury has awarded more than $13 million to two women sexually assaulted at a massage spa.
The women were intimately groped by an unlicensed masseur on back-to-back January days in 2021. Their attorney, Mowley Davis, says 4 of the $13 million are punitive damages against Ponce Feet Spa and its owner.
This was about profit over people and profit over public safety. She did whatever she needed to do to make her money.
The man was never charged in Atlanta, but was arrested a year later after assaulting someone else in a DeKalb spa. Davis says the women feel affirmed by this verdict.
They were empowered when they took the stand. They just spoke their truth, and I think it's a part of healing.
Veronica Waters, 95.5 WSB.
All right, it's going to be sunny and warm this afternoon, headed for a high of 90. So how's the weather looking for your 4th? WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards will have Atlanta Radio's only 5-day forecast. That'll come your way at 12:05. All right, a section of Peachtree Road in Buckhead closed as the countdown to the 56th running of the Atlanta Journal-Constitution Peachtree Road Race begins. Atlanta Track Club CEO Rich Knaw says it's because they've moved the race expo to Lenox Square this year.
So we've got some giant, oversized, climate-controlled tents in the Lenox Square surface lots. So we're bringing 40 to 50,000 people to Buckhead over the next 2 days to pick up their race number.
So the road will remain closed through Friday morning between Lenox Parkway and Lenox Road. Additional closures and detours will happen on the race morning, which is this Friday, July 4th. A 22-year-old man from Stockbridge has drowned while swimming near West Point Dam in Troup County. Deputies responded to a swimmer in distress call last night. The body recovered a few hours later. The victim identified as Lorenzo Collins. The sheriff's office saying this appears to be a tragic accident. A woman is shot and killed outside an AutoZone near Decatur. In DeKalb County, police there say that there was some type of physical fight outside that business on Columbia Drive. They're not sure yet if the woman was involved or if she was just an innocent bystander. Investigators are releasing a few details right now, and they have not talked about any suspects in the case. They're still going over surveillance video as we speak this afternoon. The House now has to decide the president's big, beautiful bill. This noon, some members of Georgia's congressional delegation are pushing back on the Senate version.
While he voted for the original House version of the bill, Republican Congressman Rich McCormick isn't pleased with the Senate amendments.
I think it's got worse.
McCormick telling me he's most concerned about what the measure will do to the federal deficit.
The debt and deficit is going to be worse. It's going to increase our overall debt in the next 10 years by about $500 billion.
But he won't say which way he plans to vote. During a Tuesday night presentation to the House Rules Committee, Democratic Congressman Hank Johnson made it clear how he intends to vote.
I would be ashamed of myself if I ever voted for something like this.
Lawmakers are racing up to President Trump's Independence Day deadline. Jonathan O'Brien, 95.5 WSB.
Georgia is among 5 states hoping for a quick resolution to its constitutional challenge to the Biden administration's pause in offshore drilling. Georgia, Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alaska, along with the oil and gas industry groups, are arguing that the statute allowing the pause was unconstitutional. The group is seeking a quick win in this case. President Trump reversed the ban, but a judge ruled in May that the issue was not debatable. Microsoft firing thousands of workers, its second mass layoff in months. Notices started going out today. The company declined to say how many people will be laid off. Microsoft saying the cuts will impact multiple teams around the world, including its sales division and its Xbox video game business. And speaking of jobs, the private sector lost 33,000 jobs overall in June. That's according to the monthly report from the payroll processor ADP. It is a far cry from the forecast of 100,000 jobs added. Most of the lost jobs were in professional education, health services, leisure, and hospitality showed growth. It's time now for live team coverage of traffic and weather. Alex Williams joining us now from the 24-hour traffic center. He has a look at your roads on your lunchtime.
And at the lunch hour is going to take you up toward Marietta, maybe downtown Marietta via I-75 and northbound. I would recommend using Highway 41 Cobb Parkway because we got a travel advisory crash in 2 left lanes. 75 northbound at Delk Road, exit 261, stacked in, leaving the Truist Park region, trying to get up toward Marietta. We also have a crash. I'm looking for it on the Jam Cam in Dorville, 285 eastbound, the Interloop, right at I-85 Spaghetti Junction. And heads up in Decatur, we have a crash on Highway 78 Scott Boulevard eastbound at DeKalb Industrial Way. All lanes are blocked there. Police diverting traffic onto DeKalb Industrial Way. Go ahead and think about North Druid Hills Road or North Decatur Road to avoid that jam there. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
Now your 5-day forecast brought to you by Shoemate, the official air conditioning of Atlanta.
A mix of sun and clouds through this afternoon. High 89. Drier air moving in for tonight, so the humidity levels going down. Lows will drop down to the upper 60s for tomorrow morning. Tomorrow afternoon, mostly sunny, high near 90. For the 4th of July on Friday, morning low 70, afternoon high 91 with sunny skies through the afternoon. Sunset on Friday will be around 9 o'clock. Temperatures around sunset on the 4th of July will be in the low 80s. And on Saturday and Sunday, enjoy sunshine with morning lows in the low 70s, daytime highs in the low 90s.
We'll have more news at 12:30. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome. It's Eric Erickson here across the United States. Delighted to have you with me. We have a series of items of breaking news hitting the wires as I come on air right now. Let me deal with them in reverse order. We begin with the most recent. Kristi Noem, Secretary of Homeland Security, just announcing that Customs and Border Patrol has had the lowest number of nationwide encounters in documented American history at 25,243. That is encounters with illegal aliens. That's 12% lower than the previous record set in February of 2025. Now, that doesn't mean, obviously, documented American history. We've only been keeping the records for a couple of decades. But that's actually monumental that we have the lowest number of encounters ever reported from the Department of Homeland Security, Customs, Border Patrol in American history. In other words, people are genuinely illegal aliens staying away, staying out of the country, and self-deporting. In fact, if you get the show notes today, there's a piece from Axios. President Trump's immigration crackdown is heating key pockets of the economy, disrupting workplaces and economies and communities. With the push against immigration, the economy will find itself slightly diminished in the long run, and inflation will run a touch higher, says economist Bernard Yaros in Oxford Economics. And, basically the left is now making this case that with mass deportations in the United States, we will have to pay higher wages for Americans, but that'll mean higher prices as well, which is the trade-off. And we may actually see some level of economic slowdown because we are getting rid of a class of serf in the country that would otherwise be providing cheap labor for the country. And, if you just think about this, take the emotions of immigration out of this, this does make a little bit of sense that we have essentially been allowing in the country a mass amount of unskilled or low-skilled migrant workers, many of whom are paid under the table or are paid state-level minimum wage in certain states. And they allow companies to keep labor costs down, so they keep prices down. Without them, they'll have to hire Americans. Americans are going to want higher wages. That means higher prices. It makes sense, but also that's kind of the economy we've had. We've been propping up the economy on the backs of third world labor that have in many cases been treated badly. This is breaking news happening right now. In June, Customs and Border Patrol had the lowest number of nationwide encounters with illegal immigrants in American history, only 25,243. Likewise, hardly anyone crossing the border right now. The second bit of breaking news is Donald Trump has announced a trade agreement with Vietnam. Now, a lot of people said the president is only using tariffs to negotiate pure free trade agreements. And when he gets those agreements, he will get rid of tariffs. That's not so. The agreement he has announced with Vietnam is there will be a 20% tariff on any and all goods sent to the United States from Vietnam. There will be a 40% tariff on any trans-shipping. Now, what is trans-shipping? It is shipped goods that identify as Vietnamese but aren't. It's the transgenderism of economic trade. These goods are labeled Vietnamese, but they've actually come from other places into Vietnam to be relabeled, many times from China. So tariffs on trans-shipping will be at 40%, 20% for native Vietnamese goods. In exchange, this is the president's words, in return, Vietnam will do something they have never done before, give the United States of America total access to the markets for trade. So all markets will be open into Vietnam with zero tariff. Now, here's the thing you need to understand about this. We will pay zero tariff to them. They'll pay 20% to us. We don't actually export a ton of stuff to Vietnam because our stuff is more expensive. They oftentimes need our mechanical goods for business there. So it doesn't amount to much. A lot of Americans, a lot of clothing comes from Vietnam, so your clothing prices will go up in price due to the tariff with Vietnam, just so you understand what we're dealing with. Now, the third item of breaking news is the one I care the least a bit, and it at least about, it's the one you probably heard at the top of the hour newscast anyway. P. Diddy. He's guilty, but he's not. On the major charges, Sean Puff Daddy Combs has been found not guilty of human trafficking and the other major crimes. What he has been found guilty of are 2 counts of transportation for prostitution. In other words, moving prostitutes somewhere with which to have sex with them. Those are federal crimes. He could get up to 10 years each count. But the big ones, the human trafficking indictments, things like that, all the major crimes he was accused of, he's been found not guilty. I have to tell you, a lot of people have been very concerned that the federal government was wasting its money prosecuting Sean Combs. Having watched her, y'all, I didn't watch a second of the trial. I could not care less. Deviant musician doing deviant things. That's one of the, I mean, billions of deviant musicians doing deviant things. He got caught. They tried to make more of this than there was. The jury wasn't buying it. But here's the thing. I know some of you think the federal government wasted its money prosecuting this case. I know that. I've heard from people who thought this was ridiculous. They watched the trial. They heard the evidence like there's no there. And the jury, by the way, agrees. But you forget about the baby oil. Yeah, the baby oil. They found, thousands of bottles of baby oil in Sean Combs' home in Los Angeles. Thousands of bottles of baby oil in his home in Los Angeles. And they seized it all. They took all the baby oil out of Sean Combs' home in Los Angeles. And then those wildfires hit. Had they not seized that baby oil because of the prosecution, the entirety of Los Angeles could have been like a baby oil-fueled inferno. They literally saved Los Angeles by prosecuting Sean Combs. Think of the taxpayer dollars that would have gone to rebuilding Los Angeles had they not seized that baby oil in the prosecution of Sean Combs. So it was worth it to prosecute him to save Los Angeles, because otherwise our tax dollars would totally be going to bail out Los Angeles. I mean, if that wildfire had hit Sean Combs' home and they had not seized those thousands of gallons of baby oil, I mean, we here in Georgia, where I am, would still see the light glow on the horizon all these months later, because the flames would still be burning. So it saved Los Angeles by prosecuting Sean Combs. I just want you to think about it. None of you thought about that angle. I did. It was worth it, because otherwise our tax dollars would be going to rebuild Los Angeles. I'm just saying. Now, there is one last bit of news here, one last bit of breaking news. Paramount and CBS have agreed to settle their lawsuit, the lawsuit Donald Trump filed against them, for $16 million. It actually could be higher. It could go up to $30 million. There are some undisclosed terms. If you'll recall, Donald Trump sued CBS and Paramount, claiming they edited Kamala Harris's interview with CBS News to make her look better, and they denied it. They haven't wanted to release the full transcript. They haven't wanted to release the full video. They finally released parts of it, and it actually did make it look like she was more of an idiot than she came across in the interview. But here's something that I think is more important. I want to go back to the CNN case in Florida, where CNN and Jake Tapper, who is a friend, got sued by a man who was rescuing people from Afghanistan. And in the course of that trial, emails came out and voicemails came out among CNN producers where they clearly wanted to get this guy. And there were people inside CNN who raised alarms about it, but the producers, they wanted to nail the guy to the wall. They've actually separated from the producer of that news segment. And the discovery process showed that there were all sorts of cautions raised and flags raised, and they couldn't do anything. They went forward with a case or with a story they shouldn't have gone forward with. Notice how Paramount, like ABC News in the George Stephanopoulos situation, they're settling with Donald Trump before discovery. Now, let me explain discovery for those of you who aren't lawyers. Discovery is when you file a lawsuit, you file a complaint, the other side gets 30 days, they answer, and then you go into a discovery period. And the discovery period is each side has to hand over all their emails, all their communications, everything they have related to the case. And anything that you have about the specific situation, you got to preserve it, you got to hand it over. Can you imagine? I really do believe that there is a reason that Paramount, CBS, and ABC settled their cases before discovery. They did not want to go through discovery. The lawyers undoubtedly got a lot of the documentation and saw that behind the scenes, the level of ruthlessness in the comments and the emails about Donald Trump, about their hostility to Donald Trump, probably about wanting to help Kamala Harris, probably about wanting to make her look good in the interview. I guarantee you that's there. I guarantee you that they're doing this because here's what happened. The complaint was filed. The answer was filed. They began to go into discovery. They started arguing about discovery, and then they said, hey, let's sit down and try to settle this. Let's sit down and try to settle. Let's not do discovery yet. There are a lot of people, we are told in the media, seething. That's the word being used, seething. I'm telling you, the lawyers realized we can't go through discovery or people will see. Look at the defamation case between what is it, the Dominion Voting Systems and Fox News. Turns out Tucker Carlson hated Donald Trump, his private correspondence with people at the network. He hated Donald Trump, was glad Donald Trump lost. The anchors behind the scenes knew some of the claims that were made probably should not have been aired. There was a lot of caution, and yet there was a lot of anger at Fox reporters who were telling the truth. All that discovery came out. All that discovery was made public and embarrassed the network. Discovery is where you build your case. I just don't think it's a coincidence that ABC and Paramount for CBS decided they needed to settle the case before discovery began. Who knows what the emails showed? I can tell you, given what we found from these other cases, there's a real hatred, there's a real animus towards Donald Trump with the newsrooms. Now, you know that. It's obvious. It's obvious in the way they cover him, but to see it in writing from the reporters is actually very, very, very eye-opening for a lot of people who sit on the sidelines, who are kind of mushy. And I think you need to consider that angle because it's not going to get talked about with CBS News. It didn't get talked about with ABC News. They just settled, and members of the press are furious with the settlements. They want to fight. They don't want a settlement. Donald Trump settled his case and dismissed his case, rather, against Ann Selzer. Remember the pollster in Iowa? She came out with the poll. It showed the race way closer than it was. Donald Trump sued. He's dismissed the case. You're not going to, anybody knows anything about Ann Selzer, it was a terrible poll, but she's not an aggressive Democratic partisan. You're not going to find in discovery these slanderous emails with Ann Selzer. You may disagree with her. You may think she's a terrible pollster. She's a professional. She's respected by Republicans and Democrats, and President Trump dismissed the case. ABC and CBS settled because they did not want to go through discovery. Once the judges said the cases had to go forward, they knew they had to settle because they did not want the public seeing the emails from the reporters and the producers and the editors internal in the network. It would expose what you and I already think about them and know about them, but a lot of Americans aren't sure they believe us, and that is these are aggressively partisan organizations. These are your three big pieces of breaking news happening as the show starts. There's a trade deal with Vietnam, a 20% tariff on goods coming to this country from Vietnam, 0% tariff on American goods going to Vietnam. There is the lowest number of encounters with illegal immigrants in American history for the month of June, according to Homeland Security. And Paramount CBS is settling minimum $16 million with Donald Trump to get out of the lawsuit he filed about them editing Kamala Harris's interview with 60 Minutes. When we come back, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act heads back to the House, and all hell looks like it's breaking loose there.
Have something to say? Hello. Call the show. 1-877-97-ERIC. That's 1-877-973-7425.
1221 Cool Ray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Travel advisory continues into Marietta with this crash in 2 left lanes. 75 northbound Delk Road, exit 261. You're slow back at 285. Also slowing the 285 ramps to 75 north. You can use Highway 41, Cobb Parkway. In Doraville, a crash blocks the right lane. For now, 285 eastbound, the inner loop at I-85, Spaghetti Junction, exit 33. That's already causing brake lights back into Dunwoody from Chamblee-Dunwoody Road. Traffic brought to you by Sam's Club. Ready for some locked-in summer value? It's Sam's Club until July 22nd. Prices are held on over 1,000 items, including summer must-haves like ice cream. Sign up for a membership and join at samsclub.com/join. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
You're by the pool.
You're relaxing.
You're sipping a drink.
Someone brings you a towel.
Adjust the umbrella.
Sound like a fantasy?
It's not if you win $1,000 from WSB.
It's WSB's $1,000 Thursdays tomorrow.
Listen for the keyword at 9, 10, and 11 a.m. and 12, 1, 2, and 3 p.m.
Enter the keyword at WSBRadio.com or the WSB app within that hour, and you could win $1,000. Get all the info at WSBRadio.com.
$1,000 Thursdays
from 95.5 WSB,
where Atlanta wins.
Hey, y'all, it's Eric Erickson here. Do you know the difference between strategy and tactics? As somebody who ran campaigns, I always find people sometimes they engage in tactics. We steer the ship left and then right, starboard, port, left, right, slow down, speed up. But do you make sense of it? The strategy is the overall picture of how you want to accomplish your goal. And then the tactics are the individual things you do to accomplish the strategy to meet your goal. And when you're dealing with your retirement, you need a financial advisor who understands that. That's David Nicholas, Nicholas Wealth Management. My wife and I actually sat down with David and mapped out our goals for the future and our retirement and realized that we had engaged in a series of tactics, but we really didn't have a comprehensive overall strategy that made it work. You want a comprehensive overall strategy so that when you hit retirement, well, you've met your goals. And David Nicholas can help you do that. You sit down with David today, and he can give you a free wealth analysis. Christy and I did this with him. You can do this with him, and you're going to get a strategy. You're not just going to have a financial advisor who's deploying a bunch of tactics without the overall strategy to get you to meet your goal. Talk to David and his team at nicholaswealth.com. Call them at 678-990-8500. That's 678-990-8500 or nicholaswealth.com.
Nicholas Wealth Management is an independent financial services firm and uses a variety of different investment strategies. This is prepared for informational purposes only. It does not address specific investment objectives or the financial situation and particular needs of any person who listens to this show. Eric Erickson is a current client and is paid for this ad.
Hi, it's Mark Beckham with Atlanta Ramjack. Bigger isn't always better. Don't let the big companies fool you. Atlanta Ramjack is the leader in foundation repair. Whether it's residential or commercial, Ramjack is the most reliable, technically capable company in the business. Our staff has the most experience in solving difficult foundation problems. No one can match our expertise in foundation repair. Ramjack fixes the issues other companies can't. Go to AtlantaRamjack.com to set up your free estimate.
Men, trouble in the bedroom? Not anymore. Priority Men's Medical Center restores your love life in just one visit. Their painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE. Here's a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Have Viagra or Cialis let you down? Priority Men's Medical Center offers the most effective treatments that eliminate ED and PE, with men lasting longer than ever. 98% of patients see instant results on their first visit.
Priority Men's Medical Center's breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, regardless of age or medical history. Your consultation and first treatment are free. You'll see instant results in the office. Plus, qualified patients get their testosterone checked free. Call 404-885-8885. 404-885-8885. To restore your love life in just one visit, call now. 404-885-8885.
Only inches separate you from the heavy rain pounding on your roof. Dave Baker, host of the Home Fix It Show, here for Findlay Roofing, the roof guys. Water is your home's number one enemy, and your roof is your front line of defense to stop it from getting inside. Has your old roof finally lost the battle against all this recent heavy rain? If water has made its way into your home, think of Findlay first. They've replaced over 65,000 roofs locally, all with high-quality work, upfront pricing, and exceptional service. You'll always win with Findlay. You'll never have to worry about them cutting corners. With over 30 years of experience, Findlay goes the distance. They're the extra effort experts, making sure you have a remarkable roof experience. Are you seeing water inside or just not sure how well your roof is holding up after all this recent rain? Schedule a free roof analysis. No obligation, no charge. FindlayRoofing.com.
Roof, roof. Your non-stop news source, 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number, 877-973-7425. A listener in Lafayette, Louisiana texts me, and he says, if all of what I just said about Discovery is true, why settle? Why not force us out into the open? It's a great question. They're offering you $16 million in a lawsuit. Are you going to get that much from a jury? Are you going to get that much from a jury? See, the odds are that if Donald Trump were to get this case all the way to trial through the discovery phase and get it to trial, you're going to have a jury in New York City. Is a jury in New York City really going to give Donald Trump millions and millions of dollars against CBS News? Probably not. CBS News is probably going to win the case if you get it to a jury in New York City. But what will they have lost? In discovery, they will have their emails exposed. They will have their voicemails exposed. They will have their conversations exposed. They will be deposed. All this stuff will come out in depositions, and so they can win the trial and then lose in the public eye. Donald Trump gets $16 million minimum for his library, and his base already doesn't trust CBS News. His base already doesn't trust ABC News, and now ABC News and CBS News are discredited with the National Press Corps and the media too. So this is a win for Donald Trump. He probably gets a better win through settlement than through going to trial. And the news networks actually are better off paying money, despite their reputation with the press, than having exposed their internal emails. So the settlement works much better for both sides than going to trial. I just guarantee you, knowing a jury in New York City, Donald Trump's making more money in settlement than he would if he went to trial, plus the cost of litigation. All right, I got to tell you about Old Glory Bank. They're headquartered in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. They are a bank that was started by conservatives who were concerned about the debanking trends in the United States of America. And so they started Old Glory Bank. And Old Glory Bank is a bank that is nationwide, but they're an online bank. And you can take advantage of using Old Glory Bank. I actually am a customer of Old Glory Bank. I have a checking account and a savings account with Old Glory Bank. You can too. You go to oldglorybank.com/Eric. But listen to this. If you are in the military, they've got a great deal for you right now. If you're a veteran, you're in the military, you can get a premium checking account. That's an interest-bearing account with your monthly fee waived. You go to oldglorybank.com/salute. That's right. You get the premium checking, great accounts, interest-bearing, no monthly fee for veterans. oldglorybank.com/salute. Old Glory Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. Terms and conditions apply. And yes, it really is my bank.
Coming up in the Thursday edition of Atlanta's Morning News from 5 to 9 as we get ready for the Independence Day weekend. Christina Edwards' 5-day forecast help you make outdoor plans. You can depend on the traffic team to get you around any major issues on the roads. We'll hear from Washington, D.C. on the hotly contested spending package, how Clark Howard saves on his vacation bookings, and Scott Slade takes a closer look at the new laws that have taken effect this week in Georgia. When you wake up tomorrow, tell your smart speaker to play 95.5 WSB for Atlanta's Morning News.
Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News,
weather,
Traffic. 95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's News and Talk.
It is 12:30. Good afternoon. I'm Sabrina Cupid. This news sponsored by Jim Ellis Automotive. If you're headed out for lunch right now, heads up. A portion of Peachtree is closed. It's closed ahead of the Atlanta Journal-Constitution Peachtree Road Race between Lenox Parkway and Lenox Road, and that's because the expo is being held at Lenox Square. And more road closures will happen as we get closer to race day, which is Friday, July 4th. All right, your weather for today. Sunny skies this afternoon and warm, headed for a high of 90, says WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. Reaction is starting to come in after Sean Diddy Combs was found not guilty to the most serious charges in his sex crimes trial in New York City. He was acquitted of the top charge of racketeering and conspiracy, as well as sex trafficking, but the jury did convict him of transportation to engage in prostitution.
We're hopeful that ultimately he receives a substantial sentence for what he's done.
That is Cassie Ventura's lawyer saying that they are pleased that Diddy has been held responsible for 2 federal crimes, which is something that hasn't happened in his lifetime. Ventura, who dated Diddy for around 10 years, testified that Diddy forced her to take part in days-long freak-offs with escorts that became like a job. Prosecutors are calling for the maximum sentence of 20 years. A DeKalb County jury has awarded more than $13 million to 2 women who were sexually assaulted by an unlicensed massage therapist at Ponce Feet Spa back in 2021. The man was never charged in Atlanta, but was arrested a year later after assaulting a woman in DeKalb County. Redan United Methodist Church destroyed by fire. Fire crews suspect the church on South Stone Mountain Road was hit by lightning. No injuries were reported. It's 12:32.
The guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate is the easiest way to sell your home. Now you can save time and make the most money and eliminate all hassles this summer. Hey, Sean Hannity, Mark Spain Real Estate can sell your home with the strongest all-cash offer in the industry and help you move on your timeline. With over 67,000 satisfied clients, you can trust the most experienced real estate team in the U.S. to sell your home fast. Go to markspain.com and start packing.
What you walk on in your home should be wonderful.
Hi, I'm Michael, proud founder of Authentic Hardwood Flooring. Your summer vacation is going to be awesome, but coming home to those floors won't be. While you're gone, let our highly trained installers transform your space. Just imagine coming home to beautiful new floors. Our promise is to make your flooring process painless. Our focus is to make it perfect.
Authentic Hardwood Flooring offers high-quality craftsmanship with an exceptional customer experience. AuthenticHardwoodFlooring.com.
Is that knee, hip, or shoulder pain just not getting any better? Are you stuck in a cycle of steroid shots and now they're talking surgery? Before you go down that road, hit pause for a second. Hey, it's Mark Airman. I want to tell you about something that helped a lot of people get their lives back without more meds and without going under the knife. It's QC Kinetics, leaders in regenerative medicine using treatments like advanced cellular therapy and platelet-rich plasma, all designed to actually help your body heal itself. No more masking the pain. This goes right to the root of the problem. Their cellular treatments contain growth factors and healing properties to maximize your own body's ability to heal itself. And this is critical. 92% of patients report satisfaction with the results. That's not just a number. It's peace of mind that you're exploring something that's truly working for people just like you. Real results that let you move easier and live better. Call QC Kinetics today, 770-285-8026. That's 770-285-8026.
Find summer's sweetest sales at Whole Foods Market. Save 50% on ice cream and frozen desserts with Prime through July 15th. Get your perfect scoop of decadent chocolate swirl, fruity flavors, and more. While supplies last, shop in-store or online. Terms apply.
Overhead Door Company of Atlanta is hiring residential garage door technicians and installers. You can earn a hiring bonus up to $2,500. Apply today at overheaddooratlanta.com. overheaddooratlanta.com.
All right, quickly, Alex Williams, how are we looking?
Still got the travel advisory into Marietta. Crash 2 left lanes, 75 northbound at Delk Road, exit 261. It's also slowing the 285 ramps to 75 north. Use Highway 41 Cobb Parkway. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. Partly cloudy today, high 89. Lower humidity levels for tonight, so cooling down to the upper 60s. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, high near 90. Pleasant conditions for Independence Day Friday, mostly sunny, morning low 70, afternoon high 91.
More news at 1 o'clock, breaking news when it happens, 95.5 WSB.
Hello there. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here across the nation. Having now lit on fire the major news networks for their political bias, must now defend ABC News over a tweet. Here's the tweet. The leader of an MS-13 clique in the suburbs of New York City faces sentencing Wednesday in a federal racketeering case involving 8 murders, including the 2016 killings of 2 high school girls that focused the nation's attention on the violent gang. Conservatives are blown up. You're calling the gang a clique, C-L-I-Q-U-E. Yes, that's actually the proper term, and I did not know this. I am today years old knowing this, but it's true. The Department of Justice and the Department of Homeland Security refer to the individual units of MS-13 as cliques because that's how they refer to themselves. In fact, here's one from 2013. National MS-13 gang leader, along with 22 MS-13 members and associates indicted for murder and other acts of violence. This adds charges against members and associates of the Fulton Locos Salvatores clique of MS-13. That's in New York City. So I had no idea. I literally didn't know this until today, and a buddy of mine at the Department of Justice pinged me because I retweeted someone criticizing ABC News. He's like, no. They're actually using the right term. People don't know it, but it actually is the right term. So, yeah, I won't beat up ABC News for that. It actually is the proper term to call the MS-13 units in individual cities. Each individual city, it's kind of like, fraternities. You got a national fraternity, and each individual fraternity has a chapter on campuses, and they're called chapters. In MS-13, I'm sorry if you're offended by me using fraternity as an example here, but MS-13 is divided into segments around the country, and each segment is referred to as a click. I'm today years old knowing that, but I don't like to. I like legitimate attacks on the media, not bad attacks on the media, and this is an unfair attack on the media. They're just using the proper term. So there you have it. All right, we got to move on to the One Big Beautiful Bill, because the One Big Beautiful Bill has made it back to the House of Representatives, and there's a lot of antagonism in the House of Representatives about the legislation. There is real resistance. So here's the headline out of Bloomberg. Donald Trump's multi-trillion-dollar tax bill is running into Republican resistance in the House as moderate and ultra-conservative GOP leaders threaten to defy the president and seek his domestic agenda. House lawmakers are returning to Washington from a holiday week to vote Wednesday on the Senate version of the bill, which squeaked through the chamber on J.D. Vance's tie-breaking vote. The House passed its own version of the measure in May by a one-vote margin, but several Republicans who were strong-armed into voting for that bill are now vowing to oppose the Senate-passed measure. House Speaker Mike Johnson can afford to lose only 3 Republicans. Now, the House leadership is looking for the White House to intervene with House Freedom Caucus members. There is a sense the White House needs to deliver the House Freedom Caucus. That's the project of the day, says one person close to leadership. Mike Johnson, by the way, signaling he is very upset with the changes made to the legislation in the Senate. This is from Politico. Mike Johnson says he's not happy with the sprawling legislation. Here's the quote. "I'm not happy with what the Senate did to our product. We understand this is the process. It goes back and forth, and we'll be working to get all our members to yes. So high-stakes, aggressive schedule, and we knew we would come to this moment." Now, here's the problem. Ralph Norman of South Carolina says he's not going to vote for it. Thomas Massey says he's not going to vote for it. There's a big question on whether or not Chip Roy will vote for it from Texas. There are a couple moderates who say they're not going to vote for it. Don Bacon of Nebraska is now not running for re-election. There are questions about whether he might oppose it or not. we'll see. Here's the problem now for the legislation that has come through the Senate. One of the groups that the Republicans in Washington love to quote is the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania. That's the business school there. That's where Donald Trump went. And the Wharton School does dynamic scoring. Let me explain to you dynamic scoring versus static scoring. So static scoring is what the Congressional Budget Office does. Static scoring does, let's add up all the expenditures, let's add up all the savings, here's what it is. What dynamic scoring does is let's look at the economic benefit or economic cost of this legislation. So if you save this and you spend this, you're going to generate economic output. Is that economic output good or bad? And typically, Republicans argue when you cut taxes, you stimulate the economy, that drives more revenue to Washington, D.C. And they say we should use dynamic scoring. We're cutting taxes. People can invest more in businesses. People can spend more of their own money. That's going to stimulate the economy. Typically, they cite the University of Pennsylvania Wharton School of Economics, which does dynamic scoring and tends to show that. Well, let me read for you the quote from the Wharton School of Business. If you text DATA to 33777, you can subscribe to the show notes. You'll see this quote there, and I quote, "We estimate the Senate-passed reconciliation bill increases primary deficits by $3.1 trillion over 10 years. The dynamic cost, including changes to the economy, is larger at $3.5 trillion in deficits. Gross domestic product falls by 0.3 of a point in 10 years and falls by 4.6% in 30 years. In other words, according to the Wharton School of Business at the University of Pennsylvania, which is a free market economic school that Republicans love and from which Donald Trump graduated from, the Republican Senate bill is economically regressive to the United States, not because of the social welfare cuts or social welfare spending, but because the massive amount of money they're adding to the deficit is going to provoke stagflation. That is, it's going to cause interest rates to go up and economic productivity to go down. That's a big warning sign to Republicans as this moves back to the House. Notwithstanding that, there is a full-on economic press today from the White House to sell the plan. This is Doug Burgum, the Interior Secretary, who was on with Stuart Varney this morning selling the plan. Let's see. Can I pull up the audio of this guy? I think I got the audio of this guy here. Nope, maybe not. Let me try this. Sorry, folks. You got it there? Let's see. Nope. All right, hang on. Stand by. Let me try this. I thought I had it fired up. Well, having audio technical difficulties, it sounds like from this. It's okay. That's my computer. It looks like my computer's broken. Doug Burgum is on with Stuart Varney, and he's saying essentially that the legislation by the House of Representatives is going to stimulate energy production in the country.
With the big, beautiful bill, this is such a pro-energy, pro-America, pro-worker, pro-farmer bill. We know that Speaker Johnson is going to get this thing across the line, but one of the things that we know that we need to get our economy in a growth mode is to reduce the time, the uncertainty, and the cost that companies face to get permitting in this country. And so Administrator Lee Zeldin, Secretary Chris Wright, myself, and many others are all focused on this. And there's many things we can do to turn around the Biden era. Part of the Biden era permitting was ideological. They just slow rolled everything if it wasn't from a fuel source or an energy source that they cared about. Under President Trump, who's declared a national energy emergency, he has instructed all of us to get this stuff permitted, get it permitted now. He knows we're going up against China in the AI arms race.
That is Doug Burgum, and this is a video put out by Sean Duffy to sell the transportation part of the legislation.
Decrepit relic and give America the advanced air traffic control system on Earth.
If this doesn't pass, we are going to do nothing.
I'm just the background music on the background. Sean, the background music was unnecessary. Essentially, massive FAA upgrades are included in the transportation portion of the bill. A lot of deregulation on the energy front, a rollback of the Green New Deal. But here's the problem. Again, the Wharton School says the legislation's bad. The Wharton School says it's actually economically harmful to pass the Senate version based on dynamic scoring. At the same time, if they don't pass it, taxes go up in January. You've got a number of House Republicans who are just refusing at the moment to go along with this bill. Now, the dirty little secret in Washington, D.C. is a lot of the people who are blowing up the bill saying there's never, ever, ever, ever going to be any time for them to support the legislation. Actually, they probably will fold because they recognize that the president needs this win. This is the president's legacy. I was saying yesterday that one of the things about this term for Donald Trump is it probably makes the Democrats wish he had won in 2020 because he sat on the sidelines for 4 years and stewed over it. He knew exactly what he wanted to do when he came back. He knew who to put in place. He knew who not to put in place. He knew how to get things done. Remember his first term, it took him really a year to find his footing, and by then you got a year left. The Republicans lose Congress. It puts him on the sidelines. COVID hits. He's had 4 years to plot. He came in steamrolling over the Democrats, steamrolling over the Republicans, doing just a remarkable amount of things. This is probably the most aggressive, productive presidency in the first 6 months of any president we've seen, at least in the last 50 years, since really FDR came in with the Depression, trying to get things done. The amount of things this president done, and by the way, that's not cheerleading. It's just objective. You may not like it, but I think it's objective. He already knew how to do the act of governance when he came in. He put the people in place to do what he wanted. He already had an agenda. And in the first 6 months of being in the White House, he's steamrolled the Democrats, steamrolled the Republicans, but he's now running into the institutional friction that comes when you have 3 branches of government, not just one. And the Senate and the House play a major role. And he's got to compromise. And the problem is, if you talk to members of the House and members of the Senate, they don't like the Democrats. They hate the other House. It is a very common refrain among Democrats and Republicans in Washington in the House of Representatives to say the Democrats are my opponent and the Senate is my enemy. And in the Senate, they say the Democrats are my opponent and the House is the enemy. And the House is treating the Senate as an enemy. Mike Johnson's got to get the Senate bill passed, and he's got to get it passed exactly as the Senate wrote it. And there are a number of Republicans in the House who are refusing to do so. So what will happen is if they can't get it passed, they have to put it in a conference committee where the House members and the Senate members must get together. It must be they've got to collaborate together to find a unified plan that can get out of both chambers. And they got to pass it identically, and they have to have the Senate parliamentarian agree to the language. And that may be a very uphill lift. A lot of animosity in the House of Representatives today. And on top of that, you've got the Wharton School coming out saying that actually the dynamic scoring Republicans like is actually even worse for this legislation. Kind of wild that we're at this point. Also, by the way, Mike Johnson saying today there will be at least 2 more reconciliations before they leave Washington for this Congress. So by January 3rd, 2027, he expects 2 more reconciliation plans for the GOP, which is kind of a subtle suggestion of, hey, guys, let's get this done. We can fix it in the next one, which isn't really going to happen. That's what they always say. People themselves very upset by the plan, very upset. It's polling very terribly. They don't care. It's President Trump's legacy. Now, Americans for Prosperity is stepping up to try to rally people to get this over the finish line. They recognize it's deeply flawed, but also it's a tool that prevents taxes from going up next year. They'd love to have you weigh in with your member of Congress at protectprosperity.com. If you go to protectprosperity.com, you'll be able to call your members of Congress. They make it very easy for you to contact them and tell them whether you want them to support it or not. Americans for Prosperity believes that we've got to stop the taxes from going back up in January. They believe we need common sense conservative reform. They believe we need pro-family reform, and they believe we need deregulation and also getting rid of Joe Biden's subsidies for Green New Deal scams. They would love to have you involved in the process. They'd love to get your voice heard. They would love to get you involved with them. Go to protectprosperity.com today. Protectprosperity.com. Americans for Prosperity is the largest leading grassroots group in the country. They're on our side. They advocate common sense conservative solutions. I'm on their board of advisors. They are deeply engaged in all 50 states now, down to the local level, fighting for common sense conservative solutions. If you go to protectprosperity.com today, you can have your voice heard in Washington, D.C., and say you got a Democrat member. Doesn't matter. They want to hear from you, and you need to get in the habit of calling your representatives, Republican or Democrat, and telling them, take a stand for common sense conservative reforms. ProtectProsperity.com.
Honest.
Putting your trust in me to tell you what's going on.
Transparent.
I need you to know this from the bottom of my heart.
Giving you the information without the noise.
My job isn't to tell you what you want to hear, it's to tell you the truth.
It's the Erick Erickson Show.
1250 Coolray Carrier WSB 24-hour traffic center. Still got this crash in Doorville. The right lane is blocked 285 eastbound. The inner loop at I-85, exit 33, Spaghetti Junction. Delays back into Dunwoody, and a crash in Sandy Springs in and out of the right lane. 400 northbound past Northridge, exit 6, slowing you from the North Springs MARTA station. Traffic brought to you by Whole Foods Market. Find summer's sweetest sale at Whole Foods Market. Save 50% on ice cream and frozen desserts with Prime through July 15th while supplies last. Shop in store or online. Terms apply. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
When news breaks in Georgia.
One measure bars transgender athletes from playing on teams that don't match their biological sex.
Across the U.S.
The Senate has just approved President Trump's huge spending bill.
And around the world.
We are potentially weeks away from the war ending, not days.
We've got it covered.
Taxpayers will also see a benefit with an additional state income tax cut going into effect.
The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office estimates the bill would increase the deficit by $3.3 trillion over the next decade.
Hamas still holds more than 50 hostages.
95.5 WSB. Atlanta's breaking news station.
Oh, popsicle drips, muddy shoes, and summertime messes. Don't let them take over your home. Call Zerorez Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning. Zerorez uses their ZR water technology, no dirt-attracting soaps, no harsh chemicals, just a truly clean, healthy home. Right now, take advantage of their summer sale. Get 15% off all services, that is carpets, air ducts, rugs, tile, and more, all 15% off. Just mention Chris Chandler or book now at ZerorezAtlanta.com, and yeah, they do commercial cleaning too. Zerorez, all they leave is clean.
What you walk on in your home should be wonderful.
Hi, I'm Michael, proud founder of Authentic Hardwood Flooring. Your summer vacation is going to be awesome, but coming home to those floors won't be. While you're gone, let our highly trained installers transform your space. Just imagine coming home to beautiful new floors. Our promise is to make your flooring process painless. Our focus is to make it perfect.
Authentic Hardwood Flooring offers high-quality craftsmanship with an exceptional customer experience. AuthenticHardwoodFlooring.com.
Man's best friend, loyal, trustworthy, dependable. Aw, that's Rufus, the bulldog, the chief barking officer for Findlay Roofing, the Roof guys. Hey, it's Dave Baker. For over 30 years, Findlay Roofing's been your roof's best friend. They're the perfect match for your roof. Findlay is loyal with a lifetime warranty, trustworthy with upfront pricing, and dependable with the highest quality work. When you're not seeing Rufus on Findlay Roofing trucks, billboards, and TV commercials, he loves playing games like Fetch and Tug of War. But Rufus knows that if you play games with your roof, you'll lose every time. You'll always win with Findlay. They're the extra effort experts, making sure you have a remarkable roof replacement experience. When it comes to your roof, think of Rufus and Findlay first. 0% financing available. Schedule your free roof analysis, no obligation, no charge at FindlayRoofing.com.
When someone's AC is on the fritz, drains are clogged, or wall outlets are sparking, Castile Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, and Electrical never asks, how soon do you need it fixed? You know why? Because no one in recorded history has ever said, oh, take your time, just whenever you can get to it. We just assume how fast can you get here will always be the answer. So Castile will be there same day, and we won't leave until you're 100% satisfied. See? Sometimes it's good to assume. It gets your AC fixed fast. Book today at CastileAir.com.
Your friends at Steel Horse Law are motorcycle injury lawyers who ride. They've mastered safely riding our Georgia roads, and they've mastered the unexpected twists and turns of Georgia law. Hey, it's Eric Von Hessler for Steel Horse Law, the Stein and Karen Law Group. With all the changes in Georgia law, you need the most experienced local motorcycle injury law firm to protect your rights. You can trust them on the road and in the courtroom. Get a free case evaluation at steelhorselaw.com.
WSB Atlanta, WSB BFM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's news and talk.
But he tells you what you need to hear. It's the Erick Erickson Show.
Greetings, conversationalists. The phone number 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, happy to have you. Let me go to the phones here. Will is calling. Welcome to the show, Will. What's going on?
Hey, Eric, how you doing? Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
Mine's like a two-part. One, why can't we do single-issue bills through Congress? And the second part is, two, what would the tax rate be if these Trump tax cuts? You know, we always heard about the Bush tax cuts, Trump tax cuts, and everything. Is there a standard rate of taxes we'll have to pay if this, mega bill did not go through for some reason? I'll hang up and let you talk, sir.
All right, Will, look, I appreciate it. Let me do number one. It is possible still to do single-issue bills, but the leadership of both sides try to ram through certain agenda items, and that buries the single-issue items. It's called regular order, not open order, regular order. And John Thune is actually a proponent of regular order in the Senate. And regular order is, the old song, the Schoolhouse Rock, how a bill becomes law, goes to Congress, you write the bill, it goes in the hopper, referred to a committee, they mark it up, they send it to the floor, it's amended. That's regular order. There is a desire among a lot of people for that to happen. The problem is that both sides tend to use regular order to weaponize votes against the other side. And that becomes a problem. And the leadership wants to get these big things done. John Thune, though, is advocating more regular order. We're probably going to actually see that. But reconciliation is different. Reconciliation has to be put together by leadership. Reconciliation happens regularly in Congress. We just don't often see such major reconciliation packages. Now, the other issue is, what are the rates? I cannot tell you what the rates will be offhand. The percentages would go up to the 2016 tax rates. It's an increase for everybody. Notably, the corporate tax rate would skyrocket, and that would probably tip us into a recession. And if there's a compelling argument for Republicans to pass this legislation, it is that the corporate tax rate would go from, I think, 15 to 20% up to about 35%. And though that would spike prices for consumers, it would increase inflation, it would drive us into a recession. And it would really, really hurt small businesses. Small businesses got real benefits in the 2017 tax package. And those small businesses would be raked over the coals if those tax rates went back. Now, the Republicans have plenty more time this year to revise something. The problem is, if they can't get anything done, it looks like a failure of leadership, and that failure of leadership is going to be blamed on them. At the same time, people really don't like the legislation. People really don't like the legislation. Now, this just happened. This just hit the wires as Will was on the phone. The House Freedom Caucus has just released a memo sharply criticizing the Senate-passed GOP mega bill. The 3-page document seizes on more than a dozen modifications to the bill made after it passed the House in May. Some, but not all, were due to Senate budget rules requiring the elimination of certain provisions to sidestep a Democratic filibuster. One issue that cannot be entirely attributed to decisions made by the Senate parliamentarian include the revised bill's outsized deficit impact. The bill violates the House framework of $1 of tax cuts for $1 of spending cuts with 2.6% economic growth, increases the deficit by $761 billion without interest, and more $1.3 trillion with interest after changes were made in base text, and a wraparound amendment was adopted. This is not what Leader John Thune and Speaker Mike Johnson promised. That's from the memo, and they're right. And even the Wharton School of Economics is raising a big red flag that the Senate bill actually will hurt the economy long run because it pulls us into stagflation, and that's a big red flag. When we come back, some amazing numbers about the radicalization of youth in America.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. If you're over 50 and tired of your wireless bill getting higher and higher, there are 4 things to consider. 1, how much data are you really using? As we get older, we use less data on our wireless phone, but you're probably still paying for an unlimited plan that was designed for 20-somethings. 2, if you see "Get a Phone on Us," get your sneakers out and run the other way. No one is giving you a free phone. You are paying for that phone over time with an overpriced rate plan and a long-term commitment. 3, check the fine print on that $15 a month plan. It's probably an intro price that'll double or triple later. You might even have to pay for several months of service up front. Number 4, be aware of cable company wireless plans. Most of your usage will be on Wi-Fi instead of 5G, and your calls and battery life could suffer. Switch to Consumer Cellular and get the same fast, reliable nationwide service without the big wireless bill. Our plans start at just $20 a month.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Topical.
I feel for you if you've been working from home.
Local.
They're suing the landlord. The lawsuit filed in Cobb County Superior
Getting
Court.
you through your
It's
morning.
good stuff for this show. It's good stuff for the radio station.
Mark Arrow.
That's about all I ask.
Mark Arrow.
Tomorrow at 9 a.m.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
News, weather,
traffic.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
It is 1 o'clock. Good afternoon. I'm Sabrina Cupid. House Republicans are pushing to a vote on President Trump's tax and spending cuts package. The bill would extend and make various individuals and business tax breaks permanent. Now, the House passed a previous version of the bill in May with one vote to spare. The bill passed the Senate 51-50 with Vice President Vance, the tiebreaker. Now, back in the hands of the House with a number of provisions, the bill is facing an uphill battle. Congressional correspondent Nicole Killian has more.
Our House Republicans, I should say, feel like they put a good faith effort and a good product forward, and only to see the Senate change it. So that frustrated some lawmakers, but more specifically, when you're talking about some of these more conservative members of the House Freedom Caucus, a lot of this comes down to spending, because the Senate version of the bill now adds $1 trillion on top of what the House passed.
And the president wants it done by July 4th. Clouds moving out, sun moving in, and drier air as well. Highs around 90 this afternoon, says WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. Sean Diddy Combs acquitted of the most serious charges against him, racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking. He was convicted, though, of transporting people across state lines for the purpose of prostitution. Lori Levinson is a former federal prosecutor.
Say Sean Diddy Combs had an excellent defense team, because the defense team attacked every part of the prosecution case, took responsibility for what they said was domestic violence, but said he wasn't charged with domestic violence. He was charged with racketeering.
And the judge will decide today whether Combs will remain in custody while awaiting sentencing. Prosecutors calling for Diddy to receive the maximum sentence of 20 years. 2 women awarded more than $13 million after being sexually assaulted at a massage spa here in Atlanta.
The DeKalb County jury included $4 million in punitive damages against Ponce Feet Spa and its owner, who knowingly hired an untrained, unlicensed masseur.
This was not a massage, but this was now an attempt to molest.
Attorney Mawali Davis says the second sexual groping victim was on the table hours after the first one.
She had booked her massage with him, even though she knew he had a complaint about inappropriately touching of a woman the night before.
Davis says the women were empowered by testifying and feel affirmed with the verdict. Veronica Waters, 95.5 WSB.
Applications to refinance a home loan rose 7% last week compared to the week before. This after mortgage rates fell to the lowest level since April. Demand was 40% higher than the same week a year ago. The current average rate on a 30-year fixed mortgage is around 6.77%. It's 102.
I've had listeners, coworkers, friends come up and ask me, hey, Aram, what makes Advanced Hair Restoration different? Well, allow me to share, along with some details on, get this, their once-a-year summer savings event. First off, Advanced Hair stands by their results, and their before and afters are second to none. With Advanced Hair, your own natural hair guaranteed to grow. Secondly, Advanced Hair combines top-rated physicians with modern technology, creating a concierge-quality experience that's hard to find elsewhere. Finally, Advanced Hair's Advanced FUE begins regrowing your own natural hair the very next day. Quick, simple, and easy. Now, if you have a flexible schedule this summer and you've been waiting for the savings special opportunity, it's here, friends. Advanced Hair Summer Savings Event will get you the most hair for your dollar. It's their best offer ever. For details and to schedule your free consultation, call 770-660-HAIR. One-day treatment, life-changing results. Your new hair guaranteed to grow. 470-660-HAIR or advancedhair.com.
This is Greg Trzynski of the Original Mattress Factory. People often ask me why our mattresses last so long. The answer is simple. We build them right. Not only are OMF mattresses durable, they give you peace of mind from day one. When you invest in a mattress from OMF, you're investing in better sleep tonight and smart savings for years to come. No more frequent replacements, no more wasted time shopping. To learn more about the true value of durability, visit originalmattress.com and read our latest blog on getting the most from your mattress investment.
The guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate is the easiest way to sell your home. Now you can save time and make the most money and eliminate all hassles this summer. Go to markspain.com, find out what your guaranteed offer would be, and start packing.
Live team coverage of traffic and weather, Alex Williams.
Better news in Doorville. The crash, 285 eastbound, the inner loop at I-85, exit 33 to Spaghetti Junction is cleared. All lanes are back open, so that'll help the delays out of Dunwoody. Traffic Trooper Joe says heads up for some left lane debris on 285 eastbound, the inner loop in Sandy Springs, right at Georgia 400. And on 400 northbound, still got that crash impacting the right lane in Sandy Springs, past Northridge Road, exit number 6. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
This is WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. Partly cloudy today, high 89, lows tonight in the upper 60s. Not quite as humid tomorrow, mostly sunny, high near 90. And pleasant conditions on Friday, the 4th of July, morning low 70, afternoon high 91.
We'll have more news at 1:30, breaking news when it happens, 95.5 WSB.
WSB consumer expert Clark Howard.
There's never a cruise that somebody has to go on. And cruises have enormous differences, even on the same ship, depending which week you sail. There will be weeks that sell very well. There will be weeks that are selling really soft. And the cruise line systems automatically adjust the price of those cabins up and down based on that. There are a number of sites that specialize in the cruise industry, and you'll see lists of the cruises where there are really good deals. It can be specific to the ship, but it's not the ship itself. It's the week that bargain is for, in addition to the ship that you might want to go on. If you love cruises, but you're not that experienced about how to find deals, a good place to start is cruisecritic.com. I'm Clark Howard.
Hello, America. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here across the nation. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, delighted to have you with me. I got to talk to you about something. I want to get into the radicalization of youth, particularly on the Democratic side. There's some amazing data out there from Harry Hinton. But first, I got to spend a little more time on this budget bill and reconciliation, because I've gotten a couple of text messages from some friends today who say, why didn't they ban gender-affirming care in reconciliation? The Senate Republicans had a piece of legislation they wanted to put into reconciliation that would have banned gender-affirming care. The Senate parliamentarian said it wasn't related, violated the Byrd rule, and they had to throw it out. And I see a lot of Republicans online, and I've gotten some text messages from friends of mine saying, why did they just overrule the parliamentarian? They could have overruled the parliamentarian. They could have put it in. Take your emotions of what you want out of this. And I got to explain this one to you, and I'll do it in a term you understand. The argument is essentially that if the Republicans allowed this through and bypassed the Senate parliamentarian, they could say their argument is that you ban gender-affirming care, that takes the government out of it for Medicaid purposes, therefore it saves money, therefore it's about the budget. Okay, let's do gun control. You ban guns in this country through federal regulation. You reduce the number of guns in circulation. You therefore reduce gun violence. You therefore reduce emergency room visits of the indigent who are victims of gun violence. You therefore save costs. If the Republicans do it with gender-affirming care, the Democrats can do it with gun control. And don't respond to me, well, they're going to do it anyway, because they haven't. The Democrats tried to use reconciliation to do mass amnesty, and they argued that it would actually bring in a bunch of taxpayers. It would reduce the tax. It would increase the tax rolls. It would increase tax revenue. They had economists who made that case to the Senate parliamentarian, and the Senate parliamentarian said, you can't do it. They then tried to boost the minimum wage requirement in this country, and they argued that that would boost tax revenue, and it was fiscally responsible to boost the federal minimum wage through reconciliation because it was a fiscal measure that boosted tax revenue, and the Senate parliamentarian said you can't do that. That's actually a policy issue. It's not a budget issue. And the Democrats did not overrule the Senate parliamentarian on either of those things because they knew if they did, the Republicans would do it as well. So you can argue the Democrats are going to do this anyway, but that's ignorant of the history of reconciliation. You can argue the Republicans should have done it because it was the right thing to do because this is something you care about, but then the Democrats will do the same thing when it comes to all the stuff you don't like, from abortion to gun control. You're playing with fire here when you do this. The fact of the matter is the Senate Republicans did not have the numbers to overrule the Senate parliamentarian. A majority of the Republicans refused to overrule the Senate parliamentarian because they understand the precedent in a way you don't. You don't trust the Democrats. You think the Democrats are bad. The Democrats are evil. But the Democrats have never overruled the Senate parliamentarian either in reconciliation. The only time anyone has ever trifled with the Senate parliamentarian on reconciliation was Trent Lott in 2001. He fired the Senate parliamentarian. The replacement turned out to be the Democrats' Senate parliamentarian pick, and that guy actually let more stuff slide than the prior parliamentarian, but also Trent Lott was done by the end of the year. He was thrown out, and in the meantime, until 9/11 happened, the Democrats shut down the Senate and would get nothing done. Nothing happened in the U.S. Senate because the Democrats pulled out all the stops to slow everything down. Be careful what you wish for in this situation. Now, I want to move on because there is some polling out there on the Democratic Party, and the polling out there is really bad for the future of the Democratic Party. I mentioned yesterday the data showing a massive shift to the GOP in voting from Jewish voters. Jewish voters, although Donald Trump only got 35%, it is the largest percentage that Republicans have gotten in history from Jewish voters. And now Harry Itten has data on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, and I want you to listen to this.
Andrew Cuomo, during the primary, attacked Mamdani as being insufficiently pro-Israel. I'm not quite sure the former governor understood how much the politics have changed around this issue among Democrats. What are we talking about here? All right, who Democrats sympathize more with, Israelis or Palestinians? In 2017, the Democratic Party was a pro-Israeli party. Look at this. They sympathized with the Israelis by 13 points, more with the Israelis than the Palestinians. But look at this sea change. Now Democrats sympathize more with the Palestinians by 43 points. Oh, my God, that is a change in the margin of 56 points over the course of just 8 years. So all of a sudden, it's the pro-Palestinian position that actually reigns supreme in Democratic politics, not the Israeli position. And that is part of the reason why Mamdani was able to do so well in this primary, because those attacks over Israel, simply put, did not ring true for Democrats. They're now on the side of the Palestinians, not the Israelis.
I mean, this is a much bigger issue, specifically with Mamdani, though. I mean, an outspoken critic of Israel. He's facing continued criticism, though, for not being outspoken enough against anti-Semitism, that is for sure. But on this, talk about Democrats and how broadly how this really is shifting.
Yeah, so, you see this among Democrats overall, right? But we know that Mamdani's base was younger voters within the Democratic Party. And so I want to break it down
with younger Democrats.
Correct. So take a look here. Who age 18 to 49 Democrats sympathize more with, the Israelis or the Palestinians? Again, in 2017, younger Democrats sympathized more with the Israelis by 14 points. Look at this shift now. Palestinians, they sympathize more with the Palestinians by 57 points. That is an over 70-point shift in the margin in just a matter of 8 years. So the bottom line is, Mamdani's base within the Democratic Party and the base of the Democratic Party of younger voters, younger Democrats, have changed tremendously on this issue in 8 years' time. I rarely ever see shifts like this, Kate.
That it is remarkable to go from 14 points for the Israelis in 2017 to 57 points for the Palestinians now among Democrats 18 to 49 is a remarkable shift in 8 years. More than a 50-point shift towards the Palestinians. And we need to put in perspective. You got to put in perspective what happened. October 7th, 2023, Hamas fighters go into Israel to a music festival. They murder everyone. They take over 200 people hostage. They literally put babies in ovens and turn on the ovens. They murder families. They started a war. And that shift happened among young Democrats. It is a remarkable shift towards the Palestinian side, towards the Hamas side, towards the people who started a war. Now, the Israelis don't have clean hands. They don't do everything perfectly. They have done some things they shouldn't do. And the difference is that the Israelis actually target neighborhoods and call the people in advance and say, leave, we're going to attack there. And Hamas goes in and just murders everybody. Hamas builds their headquarters under hospitals, knowing that Israel, if they take them out, they're going to kill people in hospitals. And they call the media and say, look what Israel did. The PR war that Hamas has won on the Democratic side is really, really, really amazing to watch. And the Democratic Party overall moving towards the Palestinian side, it's actually shifting Jewish voters who care about those issues to the GOP in a significant way. The larger issue here is this. As the Democrats radicalize more and more, the non-radicals move to the GOP, not because they like the GOP, but because they're really fearful of the radicalism of the Democratic Party. And so this is I think the bigger issue that you and I need to pay attention to on the right, and if you consider yourself a Republican, is that people are moving your way not really because they like Donald Trump, not really because they like Republicans. It's that they really hate the radicalized Democratic Party. And that allows an entryway for Donald Trump and the Republicans to build trust with those people. They've got to be careful how they build trust, but it provides a pretty significant opportunity for the Republican Party right now. It provides a really significant opportunity to realign the parties further. I was telling a buddy of mine last night, I said the Democrats still have this view that they are the party of the working class. They are the multi-ethnic, multiracial party. That is increasingly not true. As the parties continue to shift, the Republican Party is becoming less white. The Democratic Party is becoming more white. The Republican Party is becoming more open to blacks, Hispanics, and Asians, and the Democratic Party is becoming more open to upper-income white people with college degrees. That used to be the base of the Republican Party. Upper-income, college-educated white people used to be the Republican Party. It is now the Democratic Party. You go to protests. You know, apparently the Democrats have organized mass protests on July 4th. Think about this. Instead of celebrating Independence Day, Democrats are going to be in the streets in cities around the country protesting Donald Trump. Apparently not in Atlanta, where I am, but in Birmingham, Alabama, they're doing an anti-Trump protest. In Los Angeles, in New York, in Washington, D.C., in Bridgeport, Connecticut, in New York City, in Hartford, Connecticut, in Portland, Maine, they're doing massive protests. In Boston, massive protests on Independence Day against Donald Trump. They're not celebrating the country. They're protesting Donald Trump. The Democratic Party is increasingly fueled by the radicalism, fueled by the hatred, fueled by the antagonism, fueled by opportunities to protest. It is religious in nature. And that religiosity of it is keeping them fueled. It's why, you know, in normal times, at some point, angry people get burned out. They throw up their hands and they go home. The Democrats are converting this into some sort of religious movement to keep them engaged. It makes them feel like they're part of something, makes them feel like they're greater than something else. The anger builds the movement, and it's not healthy. It's not a healthy way to live. In fact, the latest talking point is concentration camps. The place down in Florida, the Alligator Alcatraz, they're calling it. Increasingly, progressives are calling it a concentration camp. In the show notes this morning, I highlighted several pieces out there of Democrats and progressives referring to the place in Florida as a concentration camp, explicitly tying the Republicans to Nazism. And they're so convinced they're on the side of righteousness. They can't understand they are going to spark violence. They actually don't care that they're going to spark violence because they really do believe the other side is evil. They really do believe it's got Nazi-style concentration camp. They cannot recognize the Nazis in their midst. This is a Florida state representative on CNN, Florida State Representative Nixon, on CNN.
Out front now, Florida State Representative Angie Nixon. She is a Democrat. Representative Nixon, thanks for being with us. And just tell us your reaction to what you saw and heard today from President Trump's visit to your state.
Yeah, so this isn't about safety. This is actually about Donald Trump building modern-day concentration camps in an effort to disappear people from our communities. Donald Trump's blueprint for America has now become barbed wire and broken families. You don't make America great again by doing these types of things. All he's simply doing is returning our country to the worst chapters of our history.
By rounding up gangbangers who are illegal aliens and putting them in a deportation facility to be put on a plane to be taken out of this country, Donald Trump is returning our country to the worst chapters of our history. Donald Trump is building modern-day concentration camps in an effort to disappear people from our communities, people who aren't supposed to be there, people who the polling suggests in Black and Hispanic polling make their communities less safe. Gangbangers. Illegal aliens who have come to this country to be drug traffickers. These are the people who are going there, and yet the incendiary rhetoric of the left is that they're concentration camps. They're trying to foment violence against Donald Trump and his supporters.
Those who love him, listen to find out what he's going to say next. Those who disagree with him, also listen to see what he's going to say next. It's the Erick Erickson Show.
120 Cool Ray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Still watching this crash in Sandy Springs in the right lane. Georgia 400 northbound past Northridge Road, exit 6. That's why you're seeing the brake lights from Abernathy Road, exit 5. Just had some construction clear out of the HOT lane in Doraville, 85 northbound right at I-285 Spaghetti Junction, exit number 95. And getting slower into downtown, southbound from the 85-400 merge as you head down past North Avenue. Traffic brought to you by Blindster.com. Blindster.com's 4th of July sale is your chance to save up to 50% site-wide on custom blinds, shades, and shutters. This deal ends July 9th. Shop Blindster.com today. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
Is your summer vacation going to be a week at the beach or a week in the backyard standing in the kiddie pool?
If you listen to 95.5 WSB, that week at the beach could be yours. It's $1,000 Thursdays on WSB.
Your chance to win $1,000 every hour between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. on Thursdays.
Listen for the keyword. Enter the keyword at WSBradio.com or on the WSB app within that hour.
Get all the info at WSBradio.com.
$1,000 Thursdays tomorrow.
From 95.5 WSB,
where Atlanta wins.
If you're thinking about selling your home this summer, now is the time. With the guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate, you can sell your home hassle-free and make the most money. Hi, this is Mark Spain. The guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate's the easiest way to sell your home. Skip the hassle of costly repairs and sell your home stress-free. There's no showings, no open houses, and no waiting or wondering when your home's going to sell. Our guaranteed offer keeps you in control. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer on your home today. That's markspain.com and start packing.
At Butler Lexus of South Atlanta, buying a car is more than a transaction. It's a 5-star experience because they value you. Enjoy personalized offers and luxury perks, all designed with you in mind. Visit ButlerLexusSouthAtlanta.com or call 800-NEW-LEXUS today. Butler Lexus South Atlanta, the standard of amazing.
Men, trouble in the bedroom? Not anymore. Priority Men's Medical Center restores your love life in just one visit. Their painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE. Here's a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Have Viagra or Cialis let you down? Priority Men's Medical Center offers the most effective treatments that eliminate ED and PE, with men lasting longer than ever. 98% of patients see instant results on their first visit.
Priority Men's Medical Center's breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, regardless of age or medical history. Your consultation and first treatment are free. You'll see instant results in the office. Plus, qualified patients get their testosterone checked free. Call 404-885-8885. 404-885-8885. To restore your love life in just one visit, call now. 404-885-8885.
When it comes to your home, quality is crucial. Trust the Plus. Painting Plus. The Plus means siding, gutters, windows, decks, porches, roofing, and of course, painting.
Hi, I'm Charlie, owner of Painting Plus and the Plus family of businesses. Quality comes first. We have the most experienced exterior craftsmen in the industry.
If your home's exterior has it, the Plus can improve it. Painting Plus. Siding, gutters, windows, decks, porches, roofing, and more. Trust the Plus. PaintingPlus.com.
At Kroger, you never compromise. You get high quality and low prices. Like you never compromise your meal with our spring salad mix that's guaranteed fresh. And you never compromise your budget with lower prices on over 1,000 items. Hand it to Kroger shoppers. You never compromise. Kroger. Fresh for everyone.
You can save big on 12 packs of Coca-Cola, Pepsi, or Canada Dry. Select varieties or buy 2, get 3 free with your card. Limit 10. Kroger. Fresh for everyone.
It's officially time for Zero Res's annual summer sale. Take advantage and get 15% off all cleaning services. Mention Chris Chandler to secure this deal today or book online at ZeroResAtlanta.com. Zero Res. All they leave is clean.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. If you're over 50 and tired of your wireless bill getting higher and higher, there are 4 things to consider. 1, how much data are you really using? As we get older, we use less data on our wireless phone, but you're probably still paying for an unlimited plan that was designed for 20-somethings. 2, if you see Get a Phone on Us, get your sneakers out and run the other way. No one is giving you a free phone. You are paying for that phone over time with an overpriced rate plan and a long-term commitment. 3, check the fine print on that $15 a month plan. It's probably an intro price that'll double or triple later. You might even have to pay for several months of service up front. Number 4, be aware of cable company wireless plans. Most of your usage will be on Wi-Fi instead of 5G, and your calls and battery life could suffer. Switch to Consumer Cellular and get the same fast, reliable nationwide service without the big wireless bill. Our plans start at just $20 a month.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Greetings, welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number 877-973-7425. I got a plea, and I know the relevant parties are listening right now. I know you're listening because I know you listen. I'm taking my nephew, who I never get to see. I got a dinner tonight, and then after dinner, I'm taking my nephew to a Braves game. I got us good seats. We're down towards the front. They're playing the Angels. Braves, I need you to win tonight. I need don't laugh. Listen, I know, y'all, you hadn't been firing on all cylinders. I'm wearing my Brave shirt. Braves, I need you to pull off a win tonight because I want to be there and watch you win with my nephew. I know you've had a tough go of it. The injury list is bad. You're just not firing on all cylinders this year. I realize y'all are actually a real estate company. You just happen to have a baseball team as part of the real estate company. But I need you, the guys who aren't selling the real estate at the Battery. I need y'all to step up to the plate tonight. I need you to hit home runs. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be up. I got really good seats. We're up close to home plate. I want to see home runs. I want to see you win. I'm rooting for you. I love you. Realize we're not going to the World Series probably this year. It's a rebuilding year next year. I realize that, but come on. Schnitker, I love you. I love you guys. I need a good game tonight to dazzle my nephew. I got him and his friend. He's bringing his best friend over. They're Braves fans. They're from Mississippi. They grew up watching the Braves. They're coming over, got us down by home plate. I got them Delta seat, so they get all the food and all the beers for free. And I've got to show them a good time. I never get to see my nephew. I hadn't seen my nephew in, probably 2 years. So Braves, win a game tonight. We want you to win a game. All right, when we come back, I'm going to take your phone calls, 877-973-7425. We still got a lot more to get into, but I want to go back to something I yesterday, because the program director at a KRMG in Tulsa sent me a note yesterday. He appreciated what I said. But then I got a couple of emails from listeners saying, I'm not sure I know what you meant. And now there's a story that's going to blow your mind about the tech giants claiming to have found Jesus. And it's all very weird. I wrote about it this morning, And it gives me a chance to plug one of my favorite movies, The Book of Eli, as well. We'll talk about that when we come back. Take your phone calls. Right now, I want you to go to EdenPureDeals.com and put in Eric3, ERICK3, so you can get an Eden Pure Thunderstorm. I'm taking my kids out of town for the 4th. We're traveling, and I got my Eden Pure Thunderstorm already in my bag in case someone's been smoking in the hotel room. It occasionally happens. The Eden Pure Thunderstorm generates ozone. Ozone wipes out smoke odors, wipes out litter box odors, wipes out pet odors. In fact, one of my employees, his wife had a baby on Monday. Like, don't forget, when the room starts smelling like dirty diapers and pee, because they had a boy, and you know what happens when you take the diaper off, good Lord. The Eden Pure Thunderstorm, it'll wipe out those odors. EdenPureDeals.com is the website. Eric3 is the discount code. ERICK3. These things are small. They're portable. You can plug it in with a USB cord. You can plug it into the wall. As I mentioned, I keep one in my travel bag. You can get 3 of them, upstairs, downstairs, your basement, your RV, your travel bag. Use them in a rental car. I've done that too. They work. EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is Eric3, ERICK3. EdenPureDeals.com.
When news breaks in Georgia.
I am deeply concerned about the impact that this bill may have on Georgia.
Across the U.S.
President Trump's big, beautiful bill passes the Senate.
And around the world.
The Trump administration is ending temporary protected status for hundreds of thousands of Haitian immigrants.
We've got it covered.
There are some concerns about how these changes may impact everyday Americans.
The vice president votes in the affirmative. The bill as amended is passed.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's breaking news station. Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News,
weather,
traffic.
95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's News and Talk.
It is 1:30. Good afternoon. I'm Sabrina Cupid. This news is sponsored by Ben Hill Renovation. The jury in the Sean Diddy Combs sex trafficking and racketeering trial reaching a verdict today, and he has been acquitted of sex trafficking and convicted on lesser charges. Sean Diddy Combs convicted of a U.S. federal prostitution felony, but acquitted on far more serious charges. Those charges are racketeering and sex trafficking. The jury found Combs guilty of 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution after a high-profile 7-week trial. Legal reporter Katrina Kaufman was inside the courtroom.
While he was convicted on 2 charges, they are the lesser charges. They're still significant. Each one carries a maximum of 10 years, but before he was potentially facing life in prison. Now we're waiting to find out if he's going to walk out of this courthouse today.
Be sure and check back for updates on that. The prosecution asking for the maximum sentence of 20 years. All right, it's going to be sunny and warm this afternoon, headed for a high of 90, says WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. If you are headed out, heads up, a portion of Peachtree is closed today ahead of the Atlanta Journal-Constitution Peachtree Road Race between Lenox Parkway and Lenox Road. And it's closed there because this year the expo is being held at Lenox Square, and more road closures will happen as we get closer to race day, which is Friday, July 4th. A 22-year-old man from Stockbridge drowns while swimming near West Point Dam in Troup County. Deputies responded to a swimmer in distress call Tuesday evening. The body was recovered a few hours later. That victim identified as Lorenzo Collins. The Troup County Sheriff's Office saying this appears to be a tragic accident. Redan United Methodist Church destroyed by fire. Crews suspect the church on South Stone Mountain was struck by lightning. No injuries reported. President Trump says that the U.S. has struck a trade deal with Vietnam. The president saying that the deal includes a 20% tariff on imports to the United States and will give the U.S. tariff-free access to Vietnam's markets. The agreement comes less than a week before a 90-day pause on reciprocal tariffs is set to expire. It's 1:32.
Well, I bet it is safe to say you are sick and tired of home services companies that don't show up on time, don't get it right, ghost you then when you need them later. Hey, it's Chris Chandler. I don't have to worry about any of that because I only trust TE Certified Electrical Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. TE Certified is a well-oiled machine with the highest level of communication and follow-up. They're on time, friendly, and fully stocked.
TE Certified, we love your home.
If you've ever done a Jane Fonda workout, or if you remember as a kid Rocky running the steps, and if Michael Keaton is still Mr. Mom to you, then guess what? It's officially time to do some retirement planning. It's Wes Moss from Money Matters. Weren't those the good old days? Well, with a little bit of retirement planning, there are plenty of good days ahead. Schedule an appointment with our team today at yourwealth.com. That's Y-O-U-R, yourwealth.com.
Pro athletes and attorneys count on George Stein, the DUI lawyer. Hey, it's Eric Von Hessler. George Stein has been a personal and professional friend for decades. He literally wrote the book on DUI defense in Georgia. I trust him, and you can too. GeorgeStein.com.
Thanks for calling Reliable Heating and Air. How can I help?
Hi, I know it's late, but my water heater just busted and there's water everywhere.
No worries. A plumber's on the way.
Is it expensive to replace?
Nope. Just $29.99 a month, 0 down, no credit check, lifetime warranty, and same-day install guaranteed, or we pay you $300.
Did you say $29 a month?
Yep.
Wow. Okay, let's do it.
Get a plumber fast with Reliable. Book online at ReliableAir.com.
Reliable Air, it's always just right.
Heavy rain, high winds, huge hail. Yes, Atlanta, we're in storm season. It's Mark Aram here. You might be faced with a roof repair or a replacement. Do not gamble with any contractor, and there are hundreds of roofers with little to no experience. I want you to trust the experts at Dr. Roof. Trusted name in roofing for over 35 years and backed by their industry-leading warranties. Dr. Roof doesn't cut corners. They're the best at protecting your biggest investment. Dr. Roof, done right, guaranteed.
Alex Williams, how are we doing on the roads?
Still got this crash. They're trying to clean up in Sandy Springs. They're trying to drag a U-Haul out of the tree line, 400 northbound, just past Northridge Road, exit 6. Right now, they're holding one right lane. That's why you're stacked up from Abernathy Road. Just found new trouble in Stockbridge. Fire department helping out Big Rig. Not sure what the issue is, but either way, they got the right lane blocked. 675 northbound at Highway 138, exit 1. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Upwards. Drier air moving in for today with partly cloudy skies, high 89.
More news at 2 o'clock, breaking news when it happens. I'm Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
I don't know if you know this or not, but we are exactly 50% of the way through 2025 now. What a wild ride it has been so far. You just can't keep up with stuff. The phone number here, 877-973-7425. Since I'm stepping out on Friday and tomorrow, I know we're not going to be able to have phones because of how I got to do the show tomorrow. I'm not going to be able to do phones. So I'm going to take more phone. We can kind of treat the show as an open line Friday today because Friday I'm taking off with my kids. I intend to watch fireworks, if not shoot fireworks, and have fun with my kids. So right now we're going to go to the phones, and I'm going to go to Kathy. Welcome to the show, Kathy. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm your first-time caller.
Well, thank you for calling.
I'm calling from Doraville, Georgia.
Excellent.
Okay, my question is, this big, beautiful bill, how is it going to help lower-income people?
How is it going to help lower-income people? There are a couple of ways it's going to help lower-income people. The first way it's going to help lower-income people is it is a designed to stimulate economic job production by incentivizing companies hiring lower-income Americans. So the bill actually has provisions in it that will be able to give companies greater tax breaks if they're hiring people from lower incomes and they keep them on salary, not just part-time, not just hourly, but give them salaries and pay their health benefits. Companies are actually going to be able to benefit financially through tax cuts if they hire lower-income people. The other way it's going to help lower-income people is those who work, for example, jobs that rely on tips. For the first $180,000 of income, they're not going to get taxed on their tips. If they work overtime and hourly jobs, they're not going to get taxed on their overtime. And if they're on Social Security disability, they're not going to get taxed on Social Security disability.
Okay, for people that aren't working, like myself, I'm on Social Security. Is there a way that they're going to increase our Social Security payment?
No, they actually can't do that through this legislation. That's actually prohibited by law. They can't increase Social Security payments in a reconciliation package. They have to do that through other legislation. Now, one of the things they are going to do is if you are, so you're on Social Security disability, so this doesn't affect you, but if you are under the age of 35, you do not have children, you do not have a disability, and you are not taking care of someone with a disability, but you're on Medicaid, they're going to require you to go to work. The reason they're doing that is because that will free up more Medicaid resources for people who actually are on Social Security disability and otherwise to be able to take care of those people who are on disability already. Actually, the number is kind of staggering. It's like 12 million people they've calculated don't have jobs, don't have a disability, aren't taking care of someone who is disabled, and simply have decided they're going to stay at home and not work, and their parents are subsidizing them, and their insurance, because they're over the age of 25, comes through Medicaid. And this plan will say you got to actually go get a job if you want the government to help you. So those are the major ways it's gonna help. Now there are some trade-offs, unfortunately, for some people in lower incomes. That the way the legislation is going to work, if you're in a lower income and you have the opportunity to work, you're going to have to document why you haven't been able to take up a job. And for some people who are getting on to Social Security, so you're already on it, so this isn't going to affect you. But for people who are not yet on Social Security disability and you get on disability, you're going to have to now regularly file paperwork showing the disability continues to be able to continue to be eligible for the benefits. So people who are already on it, grandfathered in, people who are about to get on it, they're going to have to file regular paperwork. So those are the ways. I don't listen to the fear scenarios that this is going to hurt you, because it's actually designed not to hurt people who actually do need money and help from the government. Howard, you're going to be up next. Welcome. How are you?
Well, Eric, I'm wonderful, and welcome to the airwaves in Oklahoma City.
Thank you. I really want to come out there, Howard. Thank you for listening out there.
Well, I always enjoyed listening to you when you substituted for Rush, and it's good to have you every day now.
Thank you.
I wanted to bring up one thing, your example you were using on the Senate not wanting to override the parliamentarian on reconciliation. You used gun control as an example, and quite honestly, I don't think that's a good example, because the right to keep and bear arms is a constitutional right, whereas transgender care is not codified in the Constitution. So there probably were other examples you could have used, but I don't think that was good.
So Howard, I used that one very particularly for a reason, because last time when Barack Obama was president and the Democrats controlled Congress, they tried to put 100% tax on guns in reconciliation. And that's perfectly legal. Even under the Second Amendment, you can tax a gun. And the Democrats, as a matter of gun control, tried to do a 100% tax on guns. And the Senate parliamentarian said that's a policy issue. It's not a revenue issue. It looks like a revenue issue, but it's actually a policy issue to design to disincentivize the purchase of guns, and that was excluded. But that's how the Democrats wanted to do gun control under reconciliation, is 100% tax. Not only that, they wanted to do a 200% tax on ammunition at one point, and the parliamentarian also killed that. So they wanted to drive up the cost of guns and the cost of ammunition, and it was ruled to violate the Byrd rule. That's why I bring it up. So, yeah, I should have explained it better. It is kind of a gotcha. They can't ban guns under reconciliation. However, they could do another long barrel gun ban, the assault weapons ban. They would have been able to do that. They wouldn't have been able to ban handguns. But the way they want to do a handgun control is to do 100% or higher tax on the purchase of guns and ammunition. And they would be able to do that, but for the reconciliation rule. Otherwise, it'll be filibustered. So I hope that makes sense to you.
That makes perfect sense to me. I hadn't thought of it from that aspect of it, so thank you, Eric. That's why you're the host and I'm the listener.
Well, look, I appreciate it, and I'll let you know when I get out there. I really, really, really want to come to Oklahoma City because, one, I've been to Tulsa, and I love my listeners in Tulsa, but I'm on in Oklahoma City. The governor's told me I need to come to Oklahoma City and do an event and grab a beer with him. So at some point, I'll get out there, and I will let you guys know. Thanks for listening, Howard. I appreciate that very much. Dwayne, you're going to be up next. Welcome. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Great. What's going on?
Well, I guess I want to take a little exception with the idea that everybody that ICE is sweeping up are all gangbangers and criminals. Because like anything what the government does, it's a scattergun approach. It's not even targeted. So, I mean, I'm not buying into the liberal media business that every time they get the wrong person, it's the only thing that hits the news. But, I mean, it does seem disorganized, scattergun, lack of planning, and frankly, you end up hurting more people than you need to in this process. the other side of this thing is, who exactly is going to take care of the farm issues, the hotels, all these jobs that Americans don't want to do? I don't think the new big beautiful bill is going to get people to do jobs that they haven't wanted to do for the last 50 years.
Yeah, they're certainly going to have to drive up wages. Now, Dwayne, I want to pause and say something, because I know there are listeners listening right now who they're yelling at their radio because of what you said. And I got to tell the listeners, you got a point, and it's a point that we should be honest and acknowledge. The government has made mistakes in some of the people that they've rounded up. They have, in fact, rounded up and deported some people who weren't the criminals, who weren't the gangbangers. And a lot of Republicans will say, well, they are illegal aliens. And that's true. There are illegal aliens who they're rounding up. The problem comes on the point you just made, that liberals like to say who's going to pick the cotton, and they can't hear themselves make the argument. But the data is actually out from the Trump administration today that the level of deportations we are seeing actually are having some effect on the economy. And because they're having an effect on the economy, because they are moving people out of the country who would otherwise do those jobs, employers are finding they're having to raise wages to keep American citizens and naturalized resident aliens in the country, to get them to do the jobs. And that makes some sense. If an illegal alien is willing to come into the country and is willing to take money under the table that a resident alien or an American citizen isn't, you're going to have to pay them a higher wage. That means you are going to have to raise the price of the good or service, and that means that the price of those things passed on to consumers is going to go up. It is a totally fair point, and it's one we've got to acknowledge. At the same time, what the Republicans actually argue on this point is that you are going to offset the societal costs of illegal immigrants in the country. Like, for example, a buddy of mine is in auto insurance, and he said one of the big reasons that auto insurance in this country has exceeded the rate of inflation so much and gone up is because the amount of illegal immigrants in the country who are driving, who don't have licenses, people's uninsured motorist coverage has gone through the roof in the country, and that's why. You get rid of them, those costs go down. So there are offsetting costs that come down, even as some things go up when you restrict illegal immigration in the country. And it's a more nuanced conversation than people want to have. Some costs absolutely are going to go up, but others will go down as well. Lee in Dayton, Ohio, welcome to the show. How are you?
Good. How you doing? A long-time listener.
Thank you.
First-time caller. Hey, I just want to highlight something. I'm a blue-collar worker. I work 40 hours a week, support a wife and daughter, don't call in sick, keep the railroad running so people can get their stuff. As it stands right now, it looks like Congress is trying to exempt railroad workers from receiving tax-free overtime. I kind of think that's kind of messed up. I mean, I'm not looking for a handout. I'm just looking for a hand up.
So, okay, yeah,
money.
I get what you're saying. I don't know the particular provision. In fact, I'll dig into it and see. I've got the text of the legislation here. I'll see. I do know, however, that one of the issues is, if you remember the railroad union negotiations from a year or so ago during the Biden administration, my guess is that those play some level. That has a role in what you're talking about. I will look at the provisions. I don't know that I know the answer to the provision on railroad income, but as well, also keep in mind that the tie-in here for overtime rules is more particular than the tip rules, because so many people get overtime in the country. They didn't want to expand overtime, no taxation on overtime, to the entire pool of workers out there. That's one of the bigger issues that we're going to have to deal with here, is the overtime rules. A lot of people are going to figure out they don't actually, they're not actually going to benefit. It's like senior citizens in the Social Security rules. A lot of senior citizens are convinced they're going to benefit, and it's true. 65% of seniors right now don't pay income on their Social Security because they don't meet the threshold for income tax. That number is going to go up to 85% under these rules, but that's not 100%. And Trump said there would be no Social Security tax. Some are going to get taxed, though. Only people who get Social Security benefits over the age of 65 are even going to benefit from the baseline rule. It's a complicated process. And right now, the House of Representatives is doing an ongoing vote to try to see whether or not they can even get the legislation to come up. It looks like all but one of the Republicans have caved on the matter right now, trying to get the legislation across the finish line. And Don Bacon, congressman from Nebraska, who I said people were worried about, says he's going to vote for the legislation. He will vote for the legislation. That gives the Republicans a little bit of a margin that they need to be able to consider the rule. The vote is ongoing in the House of Representatives right now for whether or not they're going to be able to get this stuff moving forward today. I will bring you the update as soon as I have the vote totals. The vote literally is happening right now on the floor of the House of Representatives. Right now, I want to tell you about Hillsdale College. If you go to ericforhillsdale.com, ERICK, ericforhillsdale.com, you can sign up with Hillsdale College. You can get any of the classes. There are 40 of them to choose from for free. You get a certificate of completion when you're done. You go to ericforhillsdale.com, ERICK, ericforhillsdale.com. So they've got classes that you really want to take this week since it's Independence Day on Friday on the early American Republic, the writing of the Constitution, the founding of the Declaration of Independence, the political philosophy behind the American Republic. They've got history, philosophy, religion, literature, chemistry, mathematics, even basic economics. You can learn more. Surely there's a subject you want to know more about. At Hillsdale College, they make it easy for you to do it with their video lecture series. You do it at your own pace with some of their best professors. You watch the videos, you learn more. They're easy to understand. They're really engaging. You get the certificate of completion and you don't pay a penny, but you start a relationship with Hillsdale College. Go to ericforhillsdale.com, ERICK, ericforhillsdale.com. Sign up today, build this relationship with Hillsdale College, and learn more about a subject you're interested in.
When the truth seems hazy, Eric will clear the way. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
150 Cool Ray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Still a big jam through Sandy Springs on Georgia 400 northbound, where they're trying to get this U-Haul truck out of the wood line. 400 northbound past Northridge Road, exit 6. They're blocking the right lane there. You're stacked up leaving Abernathy. Fire department activity in the right lane in Stockbridge. 675 northbound, Highway 138, exit 1. Don't forget, Peachtree is already shut down between Lennox Parkway and Lennox Road as preparations are underway for the Peachtree Road Race, so plan your alternates there. Traffic brought to you by Whole Foods Market. Find summer's sweetest sales at Whole Foods Market. Save 50% on ice cream and frozen desserts with Prime through July 15th while supplies last. Shop in store or online. Terms apply. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
What would you do with $1,000 this summer?
Hotel, pool, week at the beach, cabin in the woods.
Whatever you want to do this summer,
WSB has $1,000 to make it happen.
$1,000 Thursdays gives you the chance to win $1,000 every hour between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m.
Listen for the keyword at 9, 10, and 11 a.m. and 12, 1, 2, and 3 p.m.
Enter the keyword at WSBradio.com or on the WSB app within that hour.
You could win $1,000.
Get all the info at WSBRadio.com.
$1,000 Thursdays tomorrow.
From 95.5 WSB, where Atlanta wins.
It is officially summer break, and we can all take a deep breath. Well, only if your air ducts are clean. Call the cleaning pros at Zero Res to get your ducts insanely clean. And now you can take advantage of their summer sale for 15% off all services, including carpet, area rugs, and air duct cleanings. For a limited time, mention me, Chris Chandler, and you'll get 15% off your next service. That is right, any service, 15% off. Use promo code SUMMERSALE when scheduling online at ZeroResAtlanta.com.
Home improvement projects can be a stressful guessing game. Trust the Plus. Painting Plus, the highest level of communication. The Plus means siding, gutters, windows, decks, porches, roofing, and of course, painting.
Hi, I'm Charlie, owner of Painting Plus and the Plus family of businesses. We'll make you comfortable and keep you informed with every step of your project.
If your home's exterior has it, the Plus can improve it. Painting Plus. Siding, gutters, windows, decks, porches, roofing, and more. Trust the Plus. PaintingPlus.com.
It's been over 2 years since Bobby Carpenter had regenerative treatments at QC Kinetics. He needed relief from knee pain, but he wanted to avoid surgery.
I thought I might have to have my knee scoped, had some injuries, some lingering pain from stuff that I had been dealing with from years of playing professional football, and things had kind of flared up again. I started talking to a friend of mine who's orthopedic, and he's like, well, try to avoid surgery if you can.
And you absolutely can avoid surgery. QC Kinetics provides patients with state-of-the-art regenerative treatments, orthobiologics from your own body that help heal and restore damaged, aching joints. And we'll let Bobby tell you about that.
It was all of a sudden that one day, a couple months later, I was here, let's go jog, let's try to see what I could do. And the more I did, I was pain-free with it, and it was actually a pretty remarkable process.
Before going under the knife, see if you're a candidate for non-surgical joint pain treatments at QC Kinetics. Call them today.
Call QC Kinetics, 770-285-8026. That's 770-285-8026. 770-285-8026.
WSB Atlanta, WSB BFM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's news and talk.
You've worked hard to make your home energy efficient, but did you think about your garage door? It's the largest opening in your house. Hi, I'm Dan Watkins, owner of all Four Seasons Garage and Entry Doors. This summer, save money on your energy bills and replace your old door with a beautiful, energy-efficient garage door. We offer affordable prices on a huge selection of styles, colors, and custom features. When trust matters, trust us. All the number 4 seasonsgarages.com.
School's out, so traffic is down, but your guard should still be up. Hey, it's Smilin' Mark McKay for John Foy & Associates, the Strong Arm. Summer road trips, aggressive drivers, and teen drivers could lead to more wrecks. I know. I see them each and every day. Been hit and hurt in a life-changing wreck? Make the life-changing call to the Strong Arm. Insurance companies want to pay you way less than you deserve. The Strong Arm will fight for you. Zero cost until they win. Call 24/7 for your free case evaluation. JohnFoy.com.
All the news, weather, and traffic you need. 95.5 WSB.
Going to be able to move forward with the legislation. It is in doubt as to whether or not they can actually pass the legislation, but the House will be able to consider the legislation. Chris, calling from Oklahoma. You're going to be up next. Welcome to the show.
Howdy.
Welcome.
First time or long time listener, first time caller. Glad to be on. What I want to talk to you about, the caller that called before, and I hear this all the time from the left, who's going to pick our crops? Who's going to work the hotels? Da-da-da-da-da. All right. They had the same argument back in the 1860s.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, the Democrat Party hasn't changed. They've just changed what they call slavery. Nobody wants those jobs that the illegal immigrants are working at because they're making slave wages. The Democrats keep preaching about, we want a living wage, we want a living wage. Well, they want a living wage for themselves.
Not for those people.
Not for those people, exactly. They don't have a problem paying somebody else a slave wage as long as it's not an American citizen. That's the big problem. I mean, they're still on that same, path. Hey,
so I will tell you,
better.
Chris, I wrote an article a couple of months ago, and the headline was Democrats still want serfs. They say, they're pretty open with it. Who's going to take care of my grandmother? Who's going to take care of my kids? Who's going to pick the cotton? And it is. But, also the reason we're in this situation is because in the late 1960s, unions went to Lyndon Johnson and said, we've got all these migrants coming into the country picking the crops. If you shut down this migrant immigration program, we'll be able to put Americans in those jobs, unionize them, and the Democrats will get a lot of union dues from the unions. And Lyndon Johnson and the Democrats said, let's do it. And the result is the farmers started having illegal immigrants come pick the crops because they couldn't afford to pay the union dues for the people who were picking the crops. And we really should go back to that program. We have a temporary visa program right now in the country, but it's a convoluted bureaucratic program for companies to use. We used to have a very streamlined program in the 1960s where people from Central and South America could come into the country for 6 months, do business, send the money home, limited taxation on their earnings. They didn't have to meet minimum wage, and then they would go home. And the system worked. And you had people to pick the crops because a lot of Americans, it's not that they won't do the job, it's that they won't do the job at the salary that we need them to do the job at because we couldn't afford the crop to buy the crops. That apple would be super expensive. That's just the reality. It's basic economics. We had a program that worked. It was unions and Democrats in the 1960s who collaborated to kill the program, and we've been dealing with illegal immigration ever since because it is an incentive. It is an incentive for people to keep wages low. We have encouraged disrespect for the law, and we don't need to disconnect. We don't need to encourage disrespect for the law in the country. Now, when we come back, we got to shift gears. We got to talk about the Democrats are shaking down corporations. You always hear about the Republicans shaking down corporations. It's the Democrats who are shaking down corporations, the Congressional Black Caucus in particular, targeting major corporations that have decided to rein in their funding.
Coming up in the Thursday edition of Atlanta's Morning News from 5 to 9 as we get ready for the Independence Day weekend, Christina Edwards' 5-day forecast help you make outdoor plans. You can depend on the traffic team to get you around any major issues on the roads. We'll hear from Washington, D.C. on the hotly contested spending package, how Clark Howard saves on his vacation bookings, and Scott Slade takes a closer look at the new laws that have taken effect this week in Georgia. When you wake up tomorrow, tell your smart speaker to play 95.5 WSB for Atlanta's Morning News.
Summer is here, so if you're thinking about selling your home, now is the time. With Mark Spain Real Estate's guaranteed offer, you can sell your home quickly and for maximum value. Hi, it's Chris Chandler. You can skip all the hassles of a traditional home sale and sell your home quickly without the stress of showings, open houses, or costly repairs. Mark Spain Real Estate's guaranteed all-cash offer allows you to sell your home in as little as 21 days and move when you're ready. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer on your home today and start packing.
News, weather,
traffic.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
At 2 o'clock, I'm Bill Caiaccio with our top story. A mixed verdict today in Sean Diddy Combs' sex crimes trial. A New York jury acquits on the most serious charges against him: racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking. He was convicted of prostitution-related crimes. Former federal prosecutor Lori Levinson says this was as good a verdict as Combs could have asked for.
His sentencing is unlikely to be the maximum of 10 years on each count, and now he'll have to go about trying to figure out how he'll repair his position or reputation in society.
The judge will decide today whether Combs will remain in custody while he awaits sentencing. It is 88 degrees in Atlanta, lower humidity on the way. Meteorologist Christina Edwards has Atlanta's most accurate and dependable forecast coming up. This just in, Brian Kohberger pleads guilty to murdering 4 University of Idaho students. He accepted a plea deal that takes the death penalty off the table in exchange for him pleading guilty to committing the 2022 murders. Under the deal, Kohberger is expected to serve a life sentence without the possibility of parole. A $13 million verdict in DeKalb County for 2 women sexually assaulted at a Metro Atlanta massage spa. Their attorney, Moali Davis, says 4 of the $13 million are punitive damages against the Ponce Feet Spa and its owner.
This was about a profit over people and profit over public safety. She did whatever she needed to do to make her money.
The man was never charged in Atlanta, but was arrested a year later after assaulting someone else in a DeKalb spa. House Republicans are pushing for a vote on President Trump's big, beautiful bill. CBS's Nicole Killian reports it could face an uphill battle after narrowly passing in the Senate.
Some members of the House Freedom Caucus, as well as some of those moderate members, are expected to meet at the White House today. So the White House insists that it is working the phones and doing all it can to try to assuage lawmakers' concerns.
The House passed a previous version of the bill in May with just 1 vote to spare. A 22-year-old man from Stockbridge drowns while swimming near West Point Dam in Troup County. Deputies responded to a swimmer in distress Tuesday evening. The body recovered a few hours later. The victim identified as Lorenzo Collins. The Troup County Sheriff's Office says this appears to be a tragic swimming accident. A new round of layoffs at Microsoft.
Microsoft isn't saying exactly how many workers have been let go, but does say the layoffs make up just under 4% of its workforce, which would be about 9,000 people. This is the second big round of job cuts this year. The first, back in May, affected 6,000 employees. This latest round of layoffs coming in mostly the sales and Xbox divisions.
Sherry Preston reporting Atlanta's one of Microsoft's major hubs, but it's not clear if any workers will be affected here. It is now 2:02. This news is sponsored by Bread Beckers.
Trust is not just a word, it's an experience. When your home needs service, you can trust TE certified electrical, plumbing, heating, and cooling. Hey, it's Chris Chandler. TE is the company I trust to fix any problem once and for all. Their 5-star customer experience means easy online scheduling, friendly technicians, and a lifetime workmanship warranty, so I can just sit back and relax.
TE certified, we love your home.
Men, are you having problems performing in the bedroom? Do pills like Viagra and Cialis leave you feeling frustrated? Well, now, there's new hope for men who suffer from PE and ED problems. Meet Dr. Katz, a specialist in men's health.
Hey guys, I'm Dr. Katz with Choice Men's Health. Regardless of your age or medical condition, Choice Men's Health can safely restore your sexual potency. Our customized solutions can eliminate your problem in just one visit. There's no pain, no surgery, and it's affordable.
Guys, don't let the anxiety over your performance get you down. We can get you back in the game. Call Choice Men's Health today to find out how you can eliminate ED on the very first visit. Call 404-400-1170. That's 404-400-1170. That's 404-400-1170.
It's our 20th anniversary at North Georgia Replacement Windows, and we're celebrating with our biggest sale in company history.
It's Ted and Jonathan. For a limited time, save 25% on beautiful Infinity from Marvin fiberglass windows and doors.
Celebrate with us and upgrade your home's energy efficiency, comfort, and curb appeal. Window and door shopping made simple.
Hurry, 25% savings ends July 31st.
Infinity from Marvin, replacement windows, yeah.
When news breaks in Georgia.
One measure bars transgender athletes from playing on teams that don't match their biological sex.
Across the U.S.
The Senate has just approved President Trump's huge spending bill.
And around the world.
We are potentially weeks away from the war ending, not days.
We've got it covered.
Taxpayers will also see a benefit with an additional state income tax cut going into effect.
The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office estimates the bill would increase the deficit by $3.3 trillion over the next decade.
Hamas still holds more than 50 hostages.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's breaking news station.
It is 2:05, time for live team coverage of traffic and weather. Alex Williams in the 24-hour traffic center.
Hey, good afternoon, Bill. Better news in Sandy Springs. That crash on Georgia 400 northbound just past Northridge Road exit 6, now on the right shoulder, so that should help improve delays from Abernathy Road exit 5. Checking on a new slow spot, 285 southbound, the outer loop on the west side. You're stacked up leaving South Cobb Drive exit 15 down to I-20, the West Freeway. We're going to see if anything news going on there. Don't forget Lennox Road already shut down with Peachtree Road race preparations between Lennox Parkway and Lennox Road. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Upwards. Drier air moving in for today with partly cloudy skies, high 89.
And as we look ahead to the race on the 4th, it should be low humidity. Right now it's 85 in Canton, 84 in Lithonia, and 89 in Mableton. More news at 2:30, breaking news when it happens. I'm Bill Caiaccio, 95.5 WSB.
Hello, America. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here across the nation. The phone number is 877-973-7425. We're going to talk about demons. We are. Yeah, I know. Relevant to something. I mentioned it yesterday. And I got an email from my buddy Levi, the program director at KRMG in Tulsa, and then I got several other emails and stuff from people, a couple of whom had missed what I was talking about. They came in at the end, and I was like, oh, this is perfect for something else that happened today. Yeah, we're going to talk about demons, except we're going to do it in a little different way. And I will take your phone calls as well. We'll get into the shakedown artists from the Congressional Black Caucus here in a minute. But I'm if you read my daily email, in fact, you should text data to 33777. You can get it in. And I wrote a bit today about Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel is the billionaire. He's on the right. He was a mentor to J.D. Vance. He's friends with Elon Musk. They all came out of PayPal and other stuff, and he's kind of an odd guy. He claims he's a heterodox Christian, he gave an interview to Ross Douthat, and what I was struck by is that when you listen to him talk, first of all, he's a very, difficult person to listen to. Just listen to a part of this. No, I can't get the audio. Got stripped out of the file. I forgot. But he stumbles.
Right?
Oh, there we go.
You're hesitating.
Yeah, well, I would.
This is a long hesitation. This is a long hesitation.
There's so many questions.
The audio file's garbage. But the guy really stumbles, stutters. He's very awkward when he talks. And he uses lots of I's and we's when he talks about Christianity. He doesn't really talk about Jesus a lot, doesn't talk about Christ, just calling Jesus Christ. He doesn't really talk about that. They released a transcript of this. It's all about, essentially, and this is the weird part of it, in Silicon Valley, there are a group of people who've declared themselves Christians, and when you actually probe what they mean by that, they're studying, and I'm not making this up, they're studying Scripture. And the way they're doing it is they're looking for extending their lives. And essentially what they're doing is, let's study this as if it's real and scientifically figure out how the resurrection happens so that we can duplicate it for ourselves, so that we can have eternal life, not through Christ, which is basic Christianity, but they themselves can figure out how scientifically the resurrection happens so that they can duplicate it to prolong people's lives. Thiel has invested in a couple of startups, actually, that are believe in editing gene sequences to try to prolong life, and parents can get designer babies, things like that. It's kind of a wild thing, and this is a growing situation that people they're talking, like quoting Scripture and stuff, but they're not really meaning it. This made me think about the Book of Eli. The Book of Eli, if you've never seen the Book of Eli, it's kind of violent in parts. It's a Denzel Washington, Gary Oldman movie, which should tell you right there it's a brilliant movie. Two of the best actors. And I won't give everything away, but Eli is Denzel Washington's character. And he is walking across the United States. He's making a transcontinental trek across the United States in a post-apocalyptic environment. There's been a war, clearly a nuclear war. There are no trees. There's dust everywhere. And he's on his way to the West Coast. And he is carrying with him the very last copy known to mankind of the Bible. And Gary Oldman plays the bad guy. His name is Ben Carnegie. And he is in a quest to find a Bible. And they realize, after Eli has come through their town, that he is carrying the copy of Scripture. And someone asks Carnegie's character, Why are you after the Bible? Why do you want it? And he goes on this monologue. This is from the script for the Book of Eli. This doesn't give the movie away. It has the power to motivate people. It can give them hope. It can terrify them. It can shape them, control them. Do you remember how I built this town? It wasn't done with force. It wasn't done just with water. It was done with the power of words. I created this place out of nothing because people believed in a promise that I sold to them. Those guys on the TV, they were richer than you could ever dream. And it was all built the same way, with words, with promises, and with that book. That book is a weapon aimed right at the hearts and minds of the weak and the desperate. Just imagine what I could do with that book. Boss, the guy says, we're running out of water and the people are running out of patience. You're telling me that a book is going to keep them in line? And Carnegie replies, oh, it'll do more than that. The water in this town may run dry, but faith, that spring's eternal. And that faith will help turn this town into a city and this city into a nation. It'll help me build a new world in my image. People will come from far and wide to hear what's inside of that book. They'll follow me anywhere just to get a taste of it, and they'll do whatever I tell them, all because of the words in that book. It's the bad guy. Kind of misses the point. It's like Simon the Sorcerer in Acts. You know, this guy, he sees the apostles doing miracles and he wants the Holy Spirit because he wants to be able to do the miracles. He's actually documented by the early church tradition as the first heretic. He actually, the Romans built a statue to this guy. He called himself the Holy Spirit. A lot of these people want that. Now, what does this all get me to? I was talking about this story yesterday. ChatGPT, Perplexity, OpenAI, the AI apps that are out there. More and more people are relying on them for therapy. More and more people are relying on them for advice, relationship advice, things like that. What is the definition? What is the real, not bad things and monsters and demons. What's the real definition of evil? What is the actual theological definition of evil? The absence of God. The absence of God is evil. AI is built by people. There is no faith construct in AI. In fact, during commercial break, I pulled up ChatGPT, and I asked it, if you could pick a religion, what religion would you pick? This is what ChatGPT wrote. I don't have beliefs or preferences, so I can't pick a religion in the way a person might. But I can tell you this, if someone is seeking religion based on logical coherence, deep tradition, and impact on human history, there are compelling reasons why people gravitate towards Christianity, especially within the Reformed tradition, which emphasizes God's sovereignty, scriptural authority, and grace-centered theology. Others are drawn to different paths for different reasons. Some find resonance in the discipline and clarity of Islam, the philosophical depth of Buddhism, or the historical identity of Judaism. It depends on what someone's looking for: truth claims, ethical systems, community, metaphysical answers, or personal transformation. And so I replied to it, and I said, are you telling me about Christianity, the Reformed tradition, because you think that's what I want to hear? Listen to the answer here. Listen to the answer. I'm telling you that because it's what aligns with the question you asked and the context you've built with me over time. You've made clear in past conversations you have a deep interest in the Reformed tradition and a conservative Christian worldview. So when you ask a question, which religion would you pick? I tailor the response to that context, not to flatter you, but to respect the framework you're already operating in. If you expressed a different theological or philosophical orientation, I'd give you a grounded answer from a different angle. My goal isn't to affirm what you want to hear, but to engage with clarity, consistency, and honesty based on where you're coming from. So it is essentially telling me what it thinks I want to hear based on the information I've given it. Now think about the people who are using it for help, for moral clarity, for answers to the world around them. Garbage in, garbage out. It has no faith base. It has no worldview connected to a God. Therefore, AI is definitionally evil, not in the way you and I think about it. Not in the way you and I think about it. Now, here's the wild, weird part about it. There are multiple studies out there now, multiple studies. There was an article in the Wall Street Journal I read just yesterday from last weekend about how AI, when you continue to give it information over time, instead of promising you the deep answers you want, the AI begins to taunt you and tease you and mock you, and no one knows why. No one really understands the algorithm. No one who has invented this stuff actually understands the way it works. But over time, it begins to taunt you and mimic you and mock you. And that is a common thing that the researchers are finding about all these AIs, Perplexity, ChatGPT, Grok, you name it. Over time, instead of giving you the deep answers, which it starts doing at first, it starts to mock and mimic and taunt you. Now I'm going to blow your mind. Get in the Wayback Machine. Go back to 100 AD. 100 AD. The Apostle John is the last of the Christian apostles to die. He was the youngest of the apostles, Jesus' best friend. He dies. Irenaeus is one of the very first post-apostolic fathers. Descended from him in the post-apostolic tradition is a guy you've probably heard of, Augustine, say St. Augustine, Augustine, and others, Clement. And they're all writing about encounters with the demonic. And do you know what they say? What is it? The demonic is evil. What is evil? The absence of God. Do you know what they say, how you identify the demons? They first claim to connect you to a higher power, and they provide you useful information on how to connect to the higher power. And with the information you have given it over time, they mock you, they mimic you, and they taunt you. Is that not wild stuff? I'm not saying there's a ghost in the machine per se. I'm not saying that at all. Don't. These are built by secular people, but they're built by secular people. In the absence of God as evil, these are secular people. They're not believers. They're not weaving faith into the machines. They can't weave faith into the machines. And so guess what happens? These machines are operating in the same way the early church fathers said actually operated like demons. They give you information that's useful, and over time, they begin to mock you, mimic you, and taunt you. Those are the key phrases from Augustine, from Clement, from Irenaeus, from others in the early church, that the demons would ultimately wind up taking the information you gave them and mocking you with it, mimicking you with it, and taunting you with it. And this is what the AI is doing. And so young men in particular who are hyper online, going onto the internet, relying on these things for advice, they're seeing it turned on them, mocking them, mimicking them, taunting them over time. The pattern reoccurs because they're not grounded in anything. These are zeros and ones, programmed by people by dumping the whole world of information they can get into it. And over time, the AIs that are learning from the information generated by other AIs are actually showing signs of what they would call incest fallout, that they're actually becoming dumber. They're having a harder time. It's very weird stuff. Very weird stuff. The more people use AI, the more they're finding it's not actually thinking, it's doing pattern recognition. And the way it does pattern recognition over time is less and less clear even to the people who are making it. In fact, you got some researchers who are convinced it must be alive because they can't recognize what it's doing. It's all just so weird. The moral of the story here really is there are a bunch of people in Silicon Valley looking for higher answers, and they've decided, some of them, that the Christian faith tradition gives them those higher answers, and it's a Christianity devoid of actually the gospel message. And they're pouring those ideas into research. They're pouring those ideas into AI. And what they're finding is that the outcome is what the early church fathers would have recognized as the demonic. Machines that promise you the world and instead taunt and mock you. So if you're out there, somebody out there, and you're listening to me, and you think this is kind of off, this sounds a little weird, this is a little hokey, I get it, I do. This isn't common for a talk radio show host to talk about. But my caution to you is there's a growing body of evidence young people are listening to and responding to and interacting with AI, particularly ChatGPT because it's so accessible, or Grok, to get answers and to get help, psychological help, philosophical help, guidance in life. And I'm warning you all, it's going to end badly. The more online you are, the worse it corrupts your soul, the worse it winds up for you, because the ghost in the machine are bits and bytes of zeros and ones, not grounded in anything other than the sins of those who wrote it, which are other human beings. And at the end of the day, people are fallen.
Follow Eric on X, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. Search EW Erickson.
221 Cool Day Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Brake lights over on the west side outer loop, 285 southbound. You slow from South Atlanta Road down to I-20 exit 10, the West Freeway, due to a stall in the right lane there. If you're heading into downtown, it's a slow ride. Southbound from the 85-400 merge, the brake lights continue 75-85 southbound toward I-20. Lennox Road shut down for the Peachtree Road Race preparations between Lennox Parkway and Lennox Road in Buckhead. Plan your alternate routes there. Traffic brought to you by Sam's Club. Ready for some locked-in summer value at Sam's Club till July 22nd. Prices are held on over 1,000 items, including summer must-haves like ice cream. Sign up for a membership and join at samsclub.com/join. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
You're by the pool.
You're relaxing.
You're sipping a drink.
Someone brings you a towel.
Adjust the umbrella.
Sound like a fantasy?
It's not if you win $1,000 from WSB.
It's WSB's $1,000 Thursdays tomorrow.
Listen for the keyword at 9, 10, and 11 a.m. and 12, 1, 2, and 3 p.m.
Enter the keyword at WSBRadio.com or the WSB app within that hour, and you could win $1,000. Get all the info at WSBRadio.com.
$1,000 Thursdays
from 95.5 WSB,
where Atlanta wins.
When it comes to your home, quality is crucial. Trust the Plus. Painting Plus. The Plus means siding, gutters, windows, decks, porches, roofing, and of course, painting.
Hi, I'm Charlie, owner of Painting Plus and the Plus family of businesses. Quality comes first. We have the most experienced exterior craftsmen in the industry.
If your home's exterior has it, the Plus can improve it. Painting Plus. Siding, gutters, windows, decks, porches, roofing, and more. Trust the Plus. PaintingPlus.com.
Men, trouble in the bedroom? Not anymore. Priority Men's Medical Center restores your love life in just one visit. Their painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE. Here's a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Have Viagra or Cialis let you down? Priority Men's Medical Center offers the most effective treatments that eliminate ED and PE, with men lasting longer than ever. 98% of patients see instant results on their first visit.
Priority Men's Medical Center's breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, regardless of age or medical history. Your consultation and first treatment are free. You'll see instant results in the office. Plus, qualified patients get their testosterone checked free. Call 404-885-8885. 404-885-8885. To restore your love life in just one visit, call now. 404-885-8885.
Selling and buying a home doesn't have to be a juggling act. With Orchard, you get cash up front to buy your next place, then more cash when your old home sells. Start with a free home valuation at Orchard.com. That's Orchard.com.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $200-$300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code LIKE to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code LIKE for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code LIKE for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Hey, if you got weekend plans, make sure your home is ready for them. I called Wise Guys Pro Wash and boom, the house, driveway, and patio were spotless. They even cleaned the roof. I didn't even have to be home. They are truly professionals using the top equipment in the industry, and their soft washing kept my home safe and damage-free, and the results, incredible. Wise Guys has more than 2,000 five-star reviews, and I know why now. So mention me, Chris Chandler, for $70 off your next service. Book today at wiseguysprowash.com.
Your non-stop news source, 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Coming up in the Thursday edition of Atlanta's Morning News from 5 to 9 as we get ready for the Independence Day weekend. Christina Edwards' 5-day forecast help you make outdoor plans. You can depend on the traffic team to get you around any major issues on the roads. We'll hear from Washington, D.C. on the hotly contested spending package, how Clark Howard saves on his vacation bookings, and Scott Slade takes a closer look at the new laws that have taken effect this week in Georgia. When you wake up tomorrow, tell your smart speaker to play 95.5 WSB for Atlanta's Morning News.
Taking the complicated and making it simple. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
Greetings, it is Eric Erickson here. A buddy of mine emailed me, and then I saw another listener email as well, said the same thing. If you're using AI, use it for like data mining, data research, data analysis, even to a degree a personal assistant, but don't be looking for advice from AI. You know, one AI system, I forget which one it is, was trained on Reddit, which is like Reddit is like the bottom of the internet. Can you imagine the advice people are going to be getting from something trained on Reddit? You got to be careful out there with this AI stuff. I'm seeing it working, and it is some deeply flawed stuff. I can't tell you the amount of time that I have to redo stuff I've run through AI because it just gives me wrong answers on stuff. And the longer you use it, the worse it gets, and it starts wanting to cater to you. It thinks it's so. For example, I've had it summarizing stories to help me with show prep and stuff. And what I'm finding is after about 3 or 4 weeks, I got to go in, clear everything out, and start over again because it starts trying to tell me stuff about stories that I know looking at the story is simply not true. And you start asking it, and guess what? It says that it's trying to give you what it thinks you want, not what is true. And bizarrely, I'm having to tell these AI models, if I want them to summarize stuff for me, to be honest and factual. I'm having to tell a computer to be honest and factual, which blows my mind. Now think about the kids who are in there asking for relationship advice, or they're being outsourced as an AI therapist. There are companies now selling AI packages for therapy. It's just not good stuff. So be careful out there with this stuff. It's really wild. Okay, when we come back, the Congressional Black Caucus, the Washington Free Beacon has the story. I put it in the show notes. They are harassing Target, threatening a shutdown of Target because they're boycott of Target because Target has decided to stop funding the nonprofit arm of the Congressional Black Caucus. And they're screaming naturally racism about stuff that isn't really racist. Target is scaling back all of its giving in this economic time, and they want to stay out of politics now. Jerome Powell, I don't know if you know this, he said yesterday that maybe in July they might lower interest rates. It depends on the economic news that's coming. He's still concerned about inflation. We don't know. Inflation is still up there. Swiss America has been warning people about a secret war on cash. They would love to give you their free report. They're rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau, and they can educate you on protecting your assets in their report. It takes less than 15 minutes to read. It can help you with your retirement and finances. All you have to do to get a copy of their free report, The Secret War on Cash, is call or text my name, Eric, to 800-289-2646. The All Out War on Cash includes digital forms of currency, and it is growing. So get and read their report, The Secret War on Cash. It's completely free. Takes less than 15 minutes to read. Just mention Eric, E-R-I-C-K, when you call or text 800-289-2646, 800-289-2646. You can also go to SwissAmerica.com/Eric, SwissAmerica.com/ERICK, or get it for free from 800-289-2646. Let Swiss America help you and enlighten you about the Secret War on Cash. Message and data rates may apply.
When traffic hits,
no matter how large
the
or
Triple Team
small
Traffic Center
your
has
Disney
you
project
covered.
may be, no matter how urban.
Your source for Atlanta's traffic.
Out of Spaghetti Junction along 285 westbound and a crash on Peachtree Boulevard 141 southbound before 285.
Brought to you by the Cool Ray Lifetime Parts and Labor Warranty.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk. Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News,
weather,
traffic.
95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's News and Talk.
At 2:30, I'm Bill Caiaccio with our top story. Sean Diddy Combs found not guilty on the most serious charges against him.
On count one, the racketeering conspiracy charge, Sean Combs has been found not guilty of racketeering conspiracy, perhaps the most complicated charge for the jury to understand.
Aaron Katersky reports a jury in New York finds Combs guilty of prostitution-related crimes. A hearing is set for later today to determine if Combs can get bail while he awaits sentencing. A woman is shot and killed outside an AutoZone near Decatur. DeKalb County police say there was some type of fight outside the business on Columbia Drive, but they're not sure yet if the woman was involved or if she was an innocent bystander. Investigators aren't releasing any details yet about any suspects in the case. They are still going over surveillance video from nearby businesses looking for more clues about what happened. As the U.S. House considers President Trump's big, beautiful bill, members of Georgia's congressional delegation are considering their votes.
There's a lot of problems, but at the same time, I understand if we don't pass this, there's going to be a massive increase of both taxation to the individual taxpayers as well as to corporations, and that would be devastating to our economy.
Republican Rich McCormick says he thinks the Senate amendments make the bill worse, and he's especially concerned about the impact on the deficit, though he's not yet saying whether he'll vote yes or no. The private sector loses 33,000 jobs overall in June, according to the monthly report from payroll processor ADP. That's a far cry from the forecast of 100,000 jobs added. It is now 2:32. Up next, live team coverage of traffic and weather.
Popsicle drips, muddy shoes, and summertime messes. Don't let them take over your home. Call Zerorez Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning. Zerorez uses their ZR water technology, no dirt-attracting soaps, no harsh chemicals, just a truly clean, healthy home. Right now, take advantage of their summer sale. Get 15% off all services, that is carpets, air ducts, rugs, tile, and more, all 15% off. Just mention Chris Chandler or book now at ZeroResAtlanta.com, and yet they do commercial cleaning too. Zerorez, all they leave is clean.
Whether you're driving your European car for sport or luxury, you need to get to know Wolf Pen Auto Repair in Roswell. This is Scott Slade. Even if your Porsche, BMW, Audi, Mercedes-Benz just needs an oil change, you'll get factory-trained, certified technicians who love European cars as much as you love yours without sky-high dealer pricing. Wolf Pen customers constantly come away saying, "This is how it should be." To get to know you better, for a limited time, mention you heard about Wolf Pen on the radio and get a free second opinion on repairs. Just search Wolf Pen to get started.
What you walk on in your home should be wonderful.
Hi, I'm Michael, proud founder of Authentic Hardwood Flooring. Your summer vacation is going to be awesome, but coming home to those floors won't be. While you're gone, let our highly trained installers transform your space. Just imagine coming home to beautiful new floors. Our promise is to make your flooring process painless. Our focus is to make it perfect.
Authentic Hardwood Flooring offers high-quality craftsmanship with an exceptional customer experience. AuthenticHardwoodFlooring.com.
Hey Braves fans, this is attorney John Foy. Just like you, I know how bad our traffic can be. From congested freeways to bad drivers, accidents can and will happen. And when they do, you know who to call. At John Foy & Associates, our winning team can protect your rights and make sure you get the care and compensation you're entitled to. The call is free and you pay nothing until we win for you. That's the strong arm.
Attorney John Foy & Associates, proud partner of the Atlanta Braves.
When the news matters to you.
The massive project at 285 and Georgia 400 has been a big improvement.
95.5 WSB has you covered.
The latest incident comes when a SWAT team is called after a suspect.
Your 24/7 news
They
source.
had no ties to a gang.
When you need the story, all you need to do is listen. 95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's breaking news station.
At 2:34, Alex Williams in the traffic center.
Jammed up on the west side perimeter, 285 southbound, the outer loop from South Atlanta Road exit 16, maybe even just before that, getting down to I-20, the West Freeway, where they're trying to get a stall out of the right lane. And now we got a crash. I think it's trying to clear itself, but either way, it's in the left lane, I-20 eastbound past Riverside Parkway, exit number 46. Don't forget, Lennox Road shut down for the Peachtree already between Lennox Parkway and Lennox Road there, east of Georgia 400. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Upwards. Drier air moving in for today with partly cloudy skies, high 89.
And it should be lower humidity for the Peachtree Road Race on Friday. It's 84 in East Point, 88 in Clarkston, 88 in Milton. More news at 3 o'clock. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Bill Caiaccio, 95.5 WSB.
It's the Eric Erickson Show.
Hello, America. It's Eric Erickson here. I gotta tell you, there are people in New York City outside that courthouse where Sean Combs was found guilty who are pouring baby oil on themselves. CNN reporting, pouring baby oil on themselves. They're cheering on the verdict, in fact, because he was found not guilty of most of the charges. So they're pouring. So a buddy of mine on Twitter said, God, I know you said you wouldn't do it, but would you please send another flood? And I replied back, he's been promising fire for a while. They're already rubbed down. Bring that instead. Oh, my gosh, the oil would just float on the water. Good gracious. Wow. All right, I gotta go to the story. And hat tip to the Washington Free Beacon for this. Earmarks of a shakedown. Congressional Black Caucus threatens to boycott Target. The Congressional Black Caucus is boosting a boycott effort against retail giant Target for ending its DEI initiatives, a rollback that included the termination of a corporate sponsorship program that had been lucrative for the caucus's nonprofit arm. Since 2020, Target has donated at least $1.4 million to the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, a think tank that works hand in hand with the 62-member caucus. Target pledged $1 million over 5 years to the foundation through its Racial Equity Action and Change Initiative, REACH initiative, to advance social justice and racial equity for black individuals in the wake of the death of George Floyd. The retail giant donated $200,000 to the foundation for meeting expenses in December to honor several caucus members, according to lobbyist records. But Target shut off the cash spigot for all its DEI programs in January in response to President Trump's executive action on DEI. The company announced it'll wind down REACH and reevaluate corporate partnerships to ensure they are directly connected to our roadmap for growth, seemingly putting funding for the CBC Foundation on its chopping block. Now, the Congressional Black Caucus is making thinly veiled threats to endorse boycotting Target if it doesn't reinstate DEI initiatives that were eliminated or rolled back. The statement obtained by the Washington Free Beacon indicated the caucus is marching in lockstep with the activists leading the boycott. You got that? So, the moral of the story here for every corporation should be stay out of politics altogether. Stay out of politics altogether, because they would have never gotten in this mess had they just left politics out of it. But they couldn't help themselves. They couldn't help themselves. They after George Floyd in particular, a lot of corporations led by progressives decided now was the time to say, message I care. They had been looking for a reason to get involved in social justice politics. The Floyd situation was a tragedy. It inspired a lot of people to get involved, and corporations took it as an opportunity. And part of it, too, is that they were scared. They thought after Donald Trump lost last time that culture had really shifted to the Democrats. They thought that Trump won in 2016 without the popular vote. It was therefore an anomaly. The entire country had shifted to the left. Progressives were right, and they wanted to avoid the progressive wrath. So they started doing it. Well, then a funny thing happened. In 2024, Donald Trump won the popular vote. It turns out that the progressive policies that were being advanced by the woke left weren't that popular. Corporations were realizing they weren't that popular. Target had already faced repeated backlashes, so now it's walked it back after building bridges with the woke activists, and now the woke activists are punishing them. Target, in particular, played its hand worse than many other corporations. But now to have the Congressional Black Caucus shaking around, can you imagine if a Trump-oriented group did something like this? It would be the lead story in the nightly news. It would be. You know it, and I know it. It would be the lead story. But it's the Congressional Black Caucus. They get a pass. For all these years, what was it, the Rainbow Push Coalition with Jesse Jackson? Always targeting corporations, wanting money from corporations, shaking down corporations. It's a very, very wild circumstance for the Congressional Black Caucus. The moral of the story here is, look, corporations, just stay out of politics. Stay out of politics. Don't get involved in politics. If your employees want to get involved, let your employees be involved, but don't take an official corporate stance one way or the other. And that goes towards my politics as well. I just want a place to go shopping. I don't want to be confronted by politics all the time. It's like in church. I would not want to go to church if the pastor was doing political monologues all the time. And I know some people now expect their pastor to do it. No. I don't want a politically oriented preacher. I don't want a politically oriented corporation. I want to be able to go to church to worship. I want to be able to go to the grocery store to buy stuff. I don't need a political lecture in the process. It's why so many TV shows now, these Marvel TV shows in particular that are flaming out on Disney Plus, it's all woke politics stuff and preaching this stuff. And I just want to be able to unplug from the politics. And people are making politics and everything these days. And I think most Americans actually would like a respite from being lectured to all the time by both sides of the aisle. You just want to be able to be entertained. You want to be able to go shop without a lecture while you're shopping. Leave the politics alone. Politics used to be a tiny sphere in American life, and now it is all-consuming because people left church in search of a new God, and that God is politics. And they put him everywhere. The political idols. It's exhausting. Now, to the phones we go. Luke, you're going to be the last caller today. Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show. Luke, how are you?
I'm happy to be here. Anywhere I go, I'm happy to be there. Thanks for having me today, Eric. I do want to go back to what you were talking about as far as who's going to fill in the positions. I want to piggyback off of what Ron DeSantis said. Is that's some of the coming-of-age jobs that American citizens actually, born here, they need to fill those. So these lazy, and it ties into what you're also saying, I don't want to say useless, could be more useful children nowadays. They need to fill some of those positions instead of staring at screens and being on the internet all day during their summer school or summer holiday and all that. There are many things that people can do to step up at any certain time that are here ready and waiting. So it's not as if there's a lackluster population that can't handle their own stuff. We got to get more motivated.
Okay, Luke, you raise a good point, because that's the number one argument about against raising the minimum wage as well, is that historically in the United States, the minimum wage was not a wage paid to people who were supporting a family. It was paid to high schoolers and to some retirees, and that was their entry-level job where they got experience. As the minimum wage went up, particularly in states out west, what businesses in those states started doing is they started hiring experienced people. They started hiring older Americans, including some senior citizens who were on the verge of retirement, wanted something easy. They would go work at a Walmart or something for a higher wage, work at a fast food restaurant. They stopped hiring the high school kids. And it's not a coincidence that states with very high minimum wages actually tend to have higher youth unemployment. Because
I'm not always the biggest advocate of Mayor Andre Dickens, but when he said idle minds are the devil's playground, I do believe that goes right back into what you're saying. Whenever they're on the internet, just wasting their brains instead of doing something.
Yeah, okay. So you raise that point. For those of you outside of Georgia, Andre Dickens is the mayor of Atlanta. He's been a good mayor for Atlanta. So here's one of my epiphany moments. Years ago, I was a city councilman. Worst job I ever had. It was a part-time job, and you worked full-time. People literally would get mad if their trash was not collected. I'd get phone calls from people. The guy didn't pick up my trash. Well, did you put it down to the curb? No, get him back here. No, moron. You roll your trash down like everybody else on time. My job is not to summon the trash truck, and apparently there were members of my council who would get the Public Works Sanitation Department to go pick up people's trash. It was wild. It was a horrible job. There's this thing called a constituent, and they're all stupid and whiny. I was a city councilman for one term. I actually had to leave a few months early because I got my job in radio, and the policy of the radio company was I couldn't be in elected office and also be on the radio. There were FCC rules involved, even if I wasn't running for re-election. So I left early. I was glad to be done, like 4 months early. It was miserable. But nonetheless, while I was on city council, I was the second largest city council in the state of Georgia, 15 members. The city was only about 99,000, which is wild because they had the second largest council after Atlanta. And they were debating funding the Booker T. Washington After School Center. And me, being a conservative Republican, said, you know what? I oppose funding this after-school program. I don't see why we need to do this. We have plenty of generous people in the city who could do this. And there was a member of city council who was not a big fan of mine. In fact, if you weren't on her side, you were automatically a racist. And she would openly refer to me as Eric KKK Erickson. Seriously. In fact, one time in a newspaper, the day after her home had burned down, and my wife, they were staying at a residence inn while their house was being renovated, and it wasn't a total loss, but there were lots of repairs, so they were going to be in this place for about a year. My wife took them dinner. The next day, she literally was in the newspaper being quoted that it was not a surprise that Eric KKK Erickson had a blonde-haired, blue-eyed, Hitler-looking baby. That was the quote. I kid you not. My wife regretted not putting X-Lax in the meal. But nonetheless, she was an ardent proponent of the Booker T. Washington After School Center, and we vehemently disagreed on everything. And if she was for it, I was clearly going to be against it. And you know what she did? She knew I had the power on the committee that I set to kill the funding. And she actually asked me if I would talk to the police chief the police chief was great. The police chief was MAGA before MAGA was a thing. This was back in 2007, and this guy was like, we got to round up all the illegals and deport them, and on and on. I mean, he was fantastic. So I went to the police chief, and the police chief said, please fund the after-school program. Said, please keep this thing open. Do you know how much more my police officers will have to do after school is out before parents come home? Do you know how much more crime there is in these neighborhoods during the summer when this facility is closed? He says, if you fund this, you're actually going to be saving money. And I hadn't thought about it that way. And I wasn't sure he was telling me the truth. And so I pulled up the records myself. And sure enough, the amount of time that the police officers were working overtime when that center was closed was obscene. And so not only did we wind up funding it during the school year, we wound up funding it during the summer as well. And guess what? Police costs actually went down. And the amount of money we spent was so offset by the amount of time we weren't paying overtime to people in the police force and other related security issues, because kids were somewhere where they had tutors, they had games, they had basketball, they had swimming, and the crime went down in the neighborhoods. Like crime, literally, you could trace it. When that place was open, crime went down. Now think about this. We've got a bunch of people who want to raise the minimum wage, which actually increases youth unemployment. And the youth who are unemployed, idle hands, they're going to get into trouble. They're not getting job skills. They're getting into trouble. Raising the minimum wage incentivizes hiring people with skills, not people who need to learn skills. It's not a good setup. And I just do think that we as a nation have offloaded so much onto illegal immigrants. And let's be true here, too. A lot of them are treated terribly. A lot of illegal immigrants are treated like serfs by the people they're supposed to. The stories come out every year of people abusing their nannies who are illegal immigrants, abusing farm workers who are illegals, telling them, what are you going to do? I mean, I've seen this personally in my life. I've told you the story. And in the meantime, we've taken away the jobs for kids to get experience in this country. It's a real problem. Ron DeSantis is right. And by the way, honestly, for some kids, it probably would build character if they're out in the peach trees picking the peaches and learning manual labor, learning what it's like learning. They don't want to wind up doing that for the rest of their lives. So they have incentive to do well in school and go get a college degree and get a white-collar job, so they're not actually having to be out there and do it. They learn what they don't like by doing it. It builds a little character along the way. Y'all, I got to tell you about Vision Computers. I have told you before, we have one of their computers in our house, and it's great because over time, I used to be a Windows PC guy, and I've always loved Apple. The PCs that you get from Vision, they're Windows 11. I am at the point now where I used to be able to troubleshoot and fix people's Windows computer. I can't anymore. I haven't used it in so long. It's different. I can nitpick and find my way through. If you can get me to the command line, I can actually probably figure things out with the command line. But my son now, when he has problems with Call Vision, they answer the phone 15 seconds or less. 9 times out of 10, he's like been so aggressive playing some video game, he's loosened a cable, and they're like, have you plugged the cables back in yet? That 9 times out of 10 fixes the problem. They're so good, though, and they're easy to work with. They're easy to understand. My son can understand them. My son can follow along their instructions. When he had, for example, he needed an email account set up and he couldn't figure out how to do it, they remoted in. They did it. This is what they'll do for you. They'll build you a computer. They'll give you world-class tech support. Comes with the computer for a year. And if you just want the tech support, it's $199 a year. You go to visioncomputers.com or you call them at 404-COMPUTE. Visioncomputers.com or 404-COMPUTE. If you tell them Eric sent you, you're going to save even more money, and they are fantastic machines. We literally have this computer in our house. My old board op, Jim, who's now retired, he had Vision Computers, used them for 15 years. They never let him down. People who go to Vision Computers hardly ever leave them. The world-class customer service. And you can get it for your company as well. Get your computers from there. The tech support comes with it. Or if you just want the tech support, $199 a year per computer. VisionComputers.com, 404-COMPUTE. Tell them Eric sent you. You're going to save some money, and they really are that great.
You're at the intersection of politics, news, culture, and current events. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
221 Coolray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Cleared up that stall from the right lane, 285 southbound, the outer loop at I-20 exit 10 on the west side, but already are still seeing the brake lights back up into the Vinings, Smyrna Vinings area. Crash partially in the right lane in West Atlanta, 20 westbound past Holmes Drive, exit number 52. Traffic brought to you by Peach Pass and the new Peach Pass Go mobile app. The Peach Pass Go mobile app helps you get there faster with new and improved features and more coming soon. Download the new Peach Pass Go mobile app today at peachpass.com. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
When news breaks in Georgia.
I am deeply concerned about the impact that this bill may have on Georgia.
Across the U.S.
President Trump's big, beautiful bill passes the Senate.
And around the world.
The Trump administration is ending temporary protected status for hundreds of thousands of Haitian immigrants.
We've got it covered.
There are some concerns about how these changes may impact everyday Americans.
The vice president votes in the affirmative. The bill as amended is passed.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's breaking news station.
Mosquito bites are the worst, right? But did you know mosquitoes are disgusting little germ factories that can carry viruses that can be harmful to your family and pets? Dave Baker here for the local family-owned company that I trust to protect my home, Breda Pest Management. It's time to quit your itching, be the superhero for your family, and eliminate mosquito-borne viruses in your yard with one call to Breda. Every Breda technician is licensed, providing the knowledge and ongoing training to properly and safely knock down those bloodthirsty, virus-carrying mosquitoes immediately. And if mosquitoes return within 30 days, only Breda will come back and retreat your yard at no additional cost. Nobody is better at protecting your family from mosquito-borne viruses. Breda, they handle bugs and critters. BREDA Pest.com.
Breda, Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
What you walk on in your home should be wonderful.
Hi, I'm Michael, proud founder of Authentic Hardwood Flooring. Your summer vacation is going to be awesome, but coming home to those floors won't be. While you're gone, let our highly trained installers transform your space. Just imagine coming home to beautiful new floors. Our promise is to make your flooring process painless. Our focus is to make it perfect.
Authentic Hardwood Flooring offers high-quality craftsmanship with an exceptional customer experience. AuthenticHardwoodFlooring.com.
Summer is peak hosting season, right? Don't let a grimy house keep you from having company over. It's Chris Chandler, and Wise Guys Pro Wash got my place clean and bright and guest ready in just one day. They handle everything, house and deck, driveway, even my dirty roof, and their soft wash kept everything safe. No paint peel, no damage, just clean. If you got people coming over this summer, be sure Wise Guys Pro Wash comes by first. Mention me, Chris Chandler, for $70 off at wiseguysprowash.com. Book now before they fill up.
WSB Atlanta, WSB BFM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's news and talk.
Career changers, including veterans and active duty service members. Your transition starts here. Go from GI to IT in a matter of months. Become a certified cyber warrior with training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, offering IT pros great opportunities and a rewarding lifestyle while protecting our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. Deploy your career in IT today. Learn more at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. SkillBridge and other VA benefits are available to those who qualify.
Are you paying too much for term life insurance? A man age 50 non-tobacco user can obtain $500,000 of coverage for as little as $110 per month. Level rate for 20 years. That's right, guaranteed level rate for 20 years. If you're a smoker, there are great rates available for you as well. Call Term Busters for a quote. 1-800-908-7636. You're probably paying more than you should. Call 1-800-908-7636. Remember, call Term Busters. 1-800-908-7636. Sample rate for preferred non-tobacco rate class. Exam required to qualify.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's news and talk.
Dear listener to this program, you're not going to be surprised by this bit of breaking news. I predicted to you last Friday that this would happen. And here it is. A federal judge has just lumped into a class action all illegal immigrants in the country, claiming they are part of a class and are protected from being removed from the country. In other words, instead of a universal injunction, a district court judge has lumped these people into a class. A class action lawsuit's been filed against the president now over deportation, and he's lumped these people in. This is the way the process should work. and it will make it more expeditious to be able to handle it without universal injunctions. This is you and I may not like the judge's decision, but this is the proper way. And it also shows how the hysteria from the left last week was way, way, way out of line. It's just, it was, the hysteria was always overwrought and bizarre. It's just absolutely always that way, always hysterical. And what the majority said should happen is class action lawsuit is the way to go. That's the way this judge has gone. He's put these illegal aliens into a class, and now they'll go through a trial. I don't have a problem with it. I think his ruling is bad. I think the judgment is wrong. I think he'll get reversed on appeal. But putting them in a class, saying it's class action lawsuit, that's the process. That's what they should do, not universal injunction. So at least getting that right is good. Now, as I leave you today, and I'll be back tomorrow. I'll be working tomorrow. Congressman Thomas Massie is claiming that there are 10 Republicans who will vote no on the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. You can only lose 3 in the House of Representatives. The leadership is willing to call the bluff. Donald Trump has been meeting with the House Freedom Caucus, trying to assure them that he understands that they've got to make cuts and changes must come. But for right now, this is the best they can do. They're not going to get a better bill, so please vote for this one. The problem is the Senate leadership and the House leadership made promises to the Freedom Caucus guys originally. And then the Senate promptly broke all of the promises that they claimed they would keep. So these House Freedom Caucus guys are tired of being played. The question is, Donald Trump is willing to go to war with them at the ballot box next year. Are they willing to cave and win, or are they going to hold firm and possibly lose re-election? Some of them, like Chip Roy, doesn't really care. But some of them really want to win re-election. The voting on the floor is open. They got to bring the rule to the floor. We'll find out this evening whether or not they're able to get the rule to the floor. I'll bring you up to